Last week, the New York Jets defense had 34 points hung on them by Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it time to sound the alarms? Are we panicking? To help me break down the entire defense from last Sunday, my guy Drew Wasowicz, all 22 Drew, coming up on the other side of it. I'm fired up. Let's get into it.
Bring that here, all right? Go up there and press them and choke them out.
What's going on, Jets fans? It's your boy DT back. A second live stream of the week. I promised you the defensive side of the film room was coming, and sure enough, we have about 5 or 6 plays in the hopper, ready to show you all the things that did go well for the Jets defense, what went wrong for the Jets defense if they're able to rebound in week 2 against the Buffalo Bills. And to help me break it all down is my guy, all 22 Drew. He was on the show last week in a pre-recorded episode. If you missed that, definitely go back and check it out. We talked about the responsibilities of all levels of the defense when it comes to Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks' system. I'll bring him on now. Drew Wasowicz, all 22 Drew. What's up, Drew? Appreciate you hopping on and joining me on this Saturday.
What's up, Dylan? It's glad to be back. I'll always find time to talk Jets football.
Absolutely. And for those who are unaware, Drew works night shift at his job, so he is blessing us with a couple hours right before he goes into work. So greatly appreciate you hopping on, and we'll just jump right into it. You sent me a ton of notes. I loved all the nerding out that we did in our Twitter DMs. Going back to this game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? 34-32 was the final score. Maybe 34 points doesn't look as bad when you break down the film. What were your overall thoughts of the defense and how you felt coming out of this game?
I mean, I felt pretty good. You can only feel so good after giving up 34 points. As a defensive guy, I hate to see it. I absolutely do. But when you watch the film, you break it down. And honestly, watching the game, it never felt like it got out of hand. It was just like, it just felt like a couple bad plays. That's all it is, especially in the NFL. Like, it's just a couple plays. That's what does it. It's a game of inches. We've all heard that, but it's never more true than in the NFL when it really is a game of inches, and one play can make the difference. So clean up a couple plays, couple blunders, then we're all thinking a different game. We've seen a different game. Like, that's just how it is. But I was overall encouraged by everything we did.
Yeah, I think individual performances were kind of the shortcomings on defense, right? Brandon Stevens and whatever his cleat issue was, not being able to maintain his footing on the turf. Tony Adams taking bad angles and bad tackle attempts on DK Metcalf. Obviously, you have some miscommunications. And when you're in such a scheme where your head coach runs a lot of man and your defensive coordinator runs a lot of zone, there's going to be some differences in opinion and maybe some back-end miscommunication that leads to some trouble early on in the season. So I guess overall, I was impressed by the majority of the defense, but those glaring warts were obviously the reasons that we had 34 hung on us, and it was an unfortunate ending to what was such a great game offensively. So before we break into that, I do want to shout out our guy, Jake Asman, gifting a membership to the channel. I have to pull up YouTube and see who that went to, but this is a perfect time to remind everybody, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, become a member of the community. If you are going to consider the exclusive content that I'm bringing you on this channel, including a 1-hour offensive film dive into week 1 of the Jets season, please consider $5 to the A1 to since day one community tier. I would greatly appreciate it. I have some quarterback breakdowns at the college level as well in that exclusive membership. So for $5 a month, you will get film breakdowns, and you will also get an exclusive link for my play charting, which I kind of teased earlier in the week for those who tuned into the offensive version. I showed my play charting. All of my spreadsheets will be available to you at the $5 tier. Everything that I see from play charting personnel usage, roster depth chart, schedule, and even all the way down to what jerseys they're going to wear versus what matchup. So I have it all in there for you at the $5 tier. I'm pulling up the chat right now to see who Jake's membership went to. It went to JC Jets. So congratulations on becoming a member of the A1 since day one community, JC Jets. And Jake, thank you so much. I appreciate you as always. So with that, we will get right into the film. But before we start running the plays, I do want to ask you, Drew, what were your overall takeaways from maybe coverages or scheming, game plan specific things that you saw before we break down each individual play?
Just from just watching it, I saw a lot more vanilla stuff than I think I wanted to see. But in terms of like what we're doing and why we're doing it, I think it's a little bit better to be vanilla week one. Make sure all our players can play to the best of their ability, and not. I mean, I did see more coverage variations in the preseason than I did on Sunday. But, again, I mean, we miscommunicated on some of the vanilla coverages we were running, so maybe it was a good thing we weren't throwing out some more, but sometimes it's not about, the amount, but, about how each is executed. We ran man a little bit more than I would like to see, especially when it wasn't working. Like if you are locking them down, especially, we played man and base personnel, and you got McQuarrie Ball out there, which I said they would feel like doing,
Yeah.
But
we talked about that in our episode pre-recorded. It was McQuarrie Ball being the third linebacker and what his responsibilities were.
Yeah, so he was manning people up, and I get he's a safety, but at one point or another, it's like, I mean, you just hate to see it.
It's not working.
Yeah, you just hate to see it. But, and again, I wouldn't say in man coverage, as soon as you give up a couple completions, it makes it feel like it's not working at all. But it was working. Like, people were relatively sticky in coverage. Like, Stevens, like, he didn't have a good day, but there's plenty of reps where it's okay, he's attached to that guy. Like, he's not letting anything up. But give up a couple plays, and all of a sudden the perception's different, and that's completely fair. I mean, it's the NFL. You're paid millions of dollars, and you can't slip 3 times. And people not look at you like, who cares? Oh, you got a good man rep when no one was looking. Like, it's not how it works.
Of course. And there was even a play where he came downhill and wrapped up at the line of scrimmage really well, and he was almost home on a blitz that ended up in a sack for, I believe, Quincy Williams on Aaron Rodgers. So there were some good things to take away from Stevens, but the overarching was maintain your footing and the game is over on a pick 6 that was gifted to you by Aaron Rodgers. So, we talked about coverage, a little bit of the blitzing. What did you think of the blitzing in this game? Was it more than you expected, about what you expected, or less than you expected?
It was about what I expected. I think I heard people say that we blitzed a lot early. In my charting, we didn't at all. Like we maybe like in the, like, if I remember correctly, like 5th, 6th drive, like it could be like give or take whichever one it was. We blitzed like 5 times in a row, and that's when it was like, okay, and it worked. Honestly, to our credit, it wasn't terrible, but I was like, we didn't blitz as much as I thought we did. We blitzed about 25% of the time, and again, if you take out a couple of blitzes in those middle drives, it wasn't that much, and because we can get home at 4, so we don't always need to. But I was glad, honestly, we didn't just blitz all the time. Like, they trust our guys to get home.
That was what I was going to lead into. Do you think that is more of a trust thing, or do you think as the season goes, we'll probably see a higher percentage of blitz rate? Because it seemed like the game plan for an old person playing quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is blitz him heavy, so only 25% of the time. Do you think that's going to be kind of the normal 25% all season, or maybe it's just game week to week specific, where maybe they'll blitz 40% of the time, but then some weeks they'll only blitz 10% of the time? Do you think 25 is about what we should expect?
Yeah, that's why I think everything's pretty vanilla. I mean, 25 isn't like a little. Like every 4 plays you're blitzing once. That's like a lot.
It's more than people would think. Yeah.
Like some defense don't even like to blitz at all. But it's not that when you think blitz heavy, it may not be as much as you would think, you know. But
Right.
I mean, it's a good number to gauge like the rest of the season as they go. That's why, you know, you can't expect this to be a trend-setting game, you know, because they're gonna adapt as they go, as a good coaching staff should.
Yeah, absolutely. Like as a good coaching staff should is the best way to put a bow on that one, because as we've seen, we thought we had good coaching from a good defensive scheme before, and it's not an over the nuclear, like everything come together. It was not good with the defensive staff that we had before. So it seems like they're going to take the right steps this time and at least, you know, fix what didn't work this game. They've already made a change. I know it was special teams, but they cut Xavier Gibson because he cost them the game with the fumble. So it's like, eliminate those individual blunders on defense, and I think we'll regress to the mean and be more of a top half of the league defense, whereas I think they're ranked 30th in terms of points allowed or 20-something in yards allowed per game. So it's the numbers look bad after one game, but I do think it's going to regress back and will be a top 14 defense. Do you think that's safe to say?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a path to get there. You know, I wouldn't put it past us. I think we're good enough. We're playing talented enough. It's just how that talent gels together and how the coaching staff adapts to what each person's good at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, with that, we can just open it right up. These plays, I have about 5 in the hopper. Drew sent me a ton of notes on all these plays, so we're gonna break them down. They are in chronological order. This one, I'm sure you have more of the down and distance notes. I just have the film clips pulled out. So I'll give you the floor and you just tell me when to pause and play the video and exactly what to highlight.
Yeah. So this play, I believe it is 1st and 10. If not, it's 2nd and short. But let me get back there. So we saw a lot of wide front. That was probably their main thing, and it's an over front. So that's what meaning the 3 tech is being set to the closed side or the tight end, right? And then so what wide we saw a lot last year was Saleh. So I saw it. I was like, okay. I saw this on Sunday. I was like, okay, we're going wide. Which wide is an NFL thing. You won't really see that at the college level. The reason is because they want their pass rush, right? You're paying guys millions of dollars to get after the passer, so you put them in wide nines and you let them go. The difference is in the difference from Saleh's wide 9 and this wide 9 is we our 3 techs lined up loose. I remember we talked about this one time. Like he'd line up loose, and then he'd gap charge to get gap charge, meaning he is literally what it sounds. He would just bully through his gap and get penetration. That's what Saleh wanted to do. He wanted to get penetration. He wanted to disrupt the backfield, which has its pros and cons. You know, it's not a bad defense. Obviously, he's had success. You know, but in this loose 3, it's mainly there to provide horizontal stress. So it's a little bit different. It's not vertical penetration, right? It's there to provide horizontal stress. And what the 1 tech, so both shades, the 1 tech and the 3 tech are doing.
Yep.
Right?
And just to clarify, the 1 tech right here is J2 Fele, and the 3 technique that we're talking about is Juwan Briggs.
Yes. And so what they're both doing is they're playing react, attack, gap and a half. What that means is they're reacting to the offensive lineman. They are adjusting their path based on that, and they're trying to cause horizontal stretch in the defense. And you know, it can be attack react or react attack, which meaning attack react is just the reverse, where they're firing off the ball and they're really trying to get penetration and they're trying to get knocked back in the offensive lineman. That's all it is. That's all. It's just a mode of play. That's all it is. And then But whether it's react attack or attack react, they're playing gap and a half. What that does is it allows us to play too high more comfortably, because now we're not going to ask a safety to fit an internal gap all the time, because that gives us what gap and a half is the 3 tech's going to have his B gap, but then he's going to be able to shed to the opposite A. So he has a primary and a secondary. It's not just, okay, you're sitting here all the time and that's all you're doing. You just sit in your B gap. You got your B gap, right? It's okay. I have my B gap, but now I see the ball declaring to the A gap. I'm going to shed over and make the play, right? So that's all gap and a half is. It's allowing your defensive lineman to have a secondary responsibility, so that you don't have to have safeties come screaming down and linebackers, come screaming down. Everything is a bit more horizontal, making sure it doesn't hit fast, right? So your quick linebackers can go scrape to it and go make some plays, which I think will help our guys up front that aren't too big, or linebackers, Quincy and Sherwood, or they aren't too big, but they can run and they can tackle. So I think that'll help them.
Absolutely. So I'll play it through in slow motion, and you just kind of describe what's going on as we go. Clearly, Pittsburgh's in a 2x2 under center. What is that? Single back ace, right? Most call it. And then you have I believe that's Johnny Smith coming in motion at the snap. You see the linebackers all flowing to their right, right, with the motion. So I guess you could speak about the horizontal stress here at this point.
Yeah. So the reason our linebackers flow so hard to the strength too is because you see what I refer to as weak rotation coverage, where the safety is rotating down to the weak side of the defense formation, right? So it's cover 3. I would call sky weak. That's what I would call it. If you call it something else, that's fine. There's no universal terms in football. So I would say sky weak, right? Sky meaning that the safety is is going outside the linebackers. That's a sky rotation.
Okay.
And so what this happens, so this is outside zone. So what we're seeing is what the 3 tech is supposed to do. He got reached here, which we don't always like, right? Jawan Briggs. But that's what's the beauty of playing gap and a half, is your linebackers are supposed to make you right. So because we just said, Quincy, you're responsible for the A gap, right? And then Jawan gets reached in his A gap. What are you doing, dude? But that's not how we're playing football. That's not how a lot of football is played anymore. So Quincy's gonna have onus to be like, okay, I'm going to make you right. I'm going to go flow front side, and I'm going to go cut this play off.
And this is Quincy here avoiding the second level block from, I believe that's the center. Yeah.
And also you see what this horizontal stress does. It gives our linebackers better angles. You see that center's having a hard time getting to them.
Yeah.
Right. When it's different, when in Salah's defense, if they gap charge, that A gap's going to widen. Right, and that center might have an easier time getting to him, possibly. Right, it's not every play works, but that's something that could happen. Right, and then so you see Quincy's able to cut off the play.
Yep.
Right,
he's past his blocker now. He's filling up. What is that? The B gap.
Yeah,
right here between the tackle and guard.
He's flowing. So that's what a good linebacker does. The linebacker is going to show himself in his gap, because any running back with their salt's going to say, oh crap, and then cut back.
Yeah.
Right, and you see Jawan Briggs is pressing his gap, getting lateral. He's not trying to get penetration. Well, he get a little bit of penetration, but you see he didn't just waste himself out of the play, which would happen if he's gap charging and playing loose.
If that was Javon Kinlaw, that is a huge backside run right off where he just
cut back lane, and you see Tony Adams is getting cut off, rolling down late. That's not any fault by him necessarily. That's just it happens, right? But you see if he gets vertical instead of working horizontally, that cutback lane's huge, and he might not be able to make the tackle like he does for a TFL. So great play by Jawan Briggs. Honestly, he got reached, but okay, I'm going to keep pressing my gap. I'm going to keep working horizontally. I'm going to close that space, and I'm going to be keeping his new gap arm and leg free so he can make a tackle, which is everything you want to see as a front that needs to play more fluid when you're playing more too high defense.
Right, and being one of the newest Jets, I love to see him, executing the play properly, right? Doing the B gap charge and then switching, or not the charge, but the squeeze to the horizontal and then shedding back to his gap. And I also love, and we'll get to it at the end of the play, the fired up passion between him and new teammate Jermaine Johnson. It was like his welcome to the Jets moment. So we have it here from the end zone angle. You can see
also great angle to see what I mean by loose 3. So a 3 tech would normally be the outside shoulder of that guard, but you see maybe he's lined up more where a 4-eye would be. So again, if he's a gap charge player, he might use that to get more penetration on runs away from him and on runs to him, right? But for in this defense, he's lined up more of a 4-eye. That's mainly to stress the offensive line more horizontally, right? Because So linemen are pretty quick, but if you stress them to work horizontal and get off their combos quicker because we got quick linebackers, then that'll lead to more one-on-ones in the run game, right? So
you're making 73's job harder, essentially, to reach out to 91. Right?
And Jawan still gets reached, but credit to him, he's going to keep squeezing his gap, and he's going to not just let himself that play be a waste.
All right, so we see the motion. All the linebackers flow with it. You see the 73, the left guard, reaching over toward Briggs. Again, just all horizontal, right? No vertical penetration yet. Quincy gets off his block from the center.
I mean, you see he does a good job. 73, after that reach, really had no shot of blocking him at all. He got right under his shoulder pad, and he just kept.
He's in recovery mode, right?
Yeah.
He's just trying to maintain.
Yeah.
So here comes Quincy through to B.
Exactly. So even though he got reached, I mean, he can't really ask him to do much else, especially lined up in the loose 3. He was a little tilted, be more aggressive, which I honestly, the coaching point might even, if you get reached, like it's okay, just push him laterally.
Right.
One thing I didn't like is J2 Fele didn't really get off the ball quick enough.
Yeah.
And he got scooped. He went, I put in my notes, I think maybe it wasn't this play, but he allowed the reach through, and Rex Ryan wouldn't like that. Rex Ryan used to say to his D tackles, don't get reached and don't allow jump through. And that happened on both guys. Let it happen on this play, but that's why this front's really cool. And fronts like this is when you play too high defense, and you have to be more fluid up front, because you can't play single gap. You can't play, this is my gap, I did my job. It's like, okay, no, we got to play football. Where's the ball going?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's good to see that maybe he got reached, but you got to continue to squeeze gaps. And technically, if you see this, it's a cool thing. When the center works up to Quincy, because we got to play laterally, right?
Yep.
Jawan Briggs, if you see right here, he's technically playing both A gaps right there as soon as that center works up. So that's how in a too high defense, you're not really out gapped anymore. So yeah, Tony Adams is late, right? Late, like a little late on the rotation. But it's called canceling gaps or buying back a gap, right? So that's what happens in two high. It's like, okay, we don't have enough people for all the gaps, right? Well, when we have to work horizontally and those linemen are forced to work up to their combos quicker to the second level, the D linemen, instead of getting penetration and creating a seam, they're going to keep working laterally and take away both those gaps, which I think is cool. And I think the Jets did a good job of that because they want to, even though they're rotating to a single high, which normally would be a one gap defense, they want to solidify that our front's going to be fluid and allow them to play too high whenever they want. Instead of having to say, hey, we're doing it different this time. No, we're going to do it the same. We're just going to rotate down sometimes.
I was just going to ask, is that going to help them be more versatile on the back end? Because if everybody's doing their two gap kind of responsibilities, then they can do too high or single high, and it's not really going to affect the front. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, I think if Brandon Stevens starts sucking more at man coverage as the season goes on, we might see more quarters. More zone stuff, and because quarters has a lot of man stuff going on, and so it's like it's a mix of both worlds that he likes, and he's shown willingness to run a lot of in Detroit. So I could see him. He ran it a few times last Sunday too.
And then here's the passion between Jermaine Johnson and his new teammate on the defensive line. Look at that! I love that. I love them. They're fired up.
All right. I love it.
Next clip here, but before we do, I have to acknowledge Alan's comment. Great win by Georgia Tech. Cade Klubnik, man, is he like this year's version of Carson Beck? He was so high up on the mock drafts in the way too earlys, and now like through 2 games, he's barely even a day 2 prospect at this point. He's really gone downhill quite a bit. So good for Georgia Tech, and not good news for Clemson. But around here, we go Gamecocks, so we're not too worried about Clemson. All right, second play here. Same drive. The first 3 plays are all from the same drive, first quarter. Now they're on the plus side of the field, working and about to be inside the 30. I'll give you the floor.
All right, so some cool stuff. So we're in wide front. We're always going to be in wide front for basically the whole game. A couple plays we weren't. But what's cool here is we're going to stay in our too high shell, right? Shell just, I heard people, a lot of media uses that term, too high shell. It's just a pre-snap look. Mm-hmm. So, and we're going to stay there, right? And we're going to rotate what seems what I would call cover 8, which means we're going to play it's going to be quarter, half, right?
Some also call that cover 6,
cover
right?
6. We're going to play cover 6, and we're rotating to Stevens. That's my fault. Because the cover 2 side is going to be on the weak side. Yes.
So Stevens is going to be the cloud corner.
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to get
it could just be a quarters call, but they're playing more. It's their check to a wing set.
Mhm.
So that's why it's hard to know when you're doing this, right? It's like, are you rotating to Stevens, or is this just you're making an area call, right, versus this wing, and he's gonna have so versus his wing set, maybe it's not cover 2, but maybe Stevens has first out, right? So because you don't really know the rules that they're doing to check that, but I'm just for simplicity, I said I'm gonna put it as a cover 6 and we're rotating weak just for simplicity reasons.
So then Stevens would be playing the cloud, within 5 to 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. And then what was it? Tony Adams playing the half.
Yeah.
And then you have Cisco and Sauce playing the quarter side of the cover 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe is what I put in my notes before I watch the play.
Because they do have wing right, which is the 2 tight ends attached to the line of scrimmage on the right-hand side. The Jets use this more in preseason than they did on Sunday, but it's definitely going to be part of their offense.
Yeah.
So what do we got? Duo?
Yeah, duo. It might have just been cover 2 looking at this play. I might have been looking at notes for a different play. But it might have just been cover 2. He likes Tampa 2, so we're going to see some Tampa 2s. But it works the same backside, whether it was clouded, whether it was cover 6 or cover 2. So what's cool is if you look, our end to the close side, which would be, I think, on the top of the screen.
That's Tyler Barron.
Tyler Barron. He's bumped down to a 6 when the back is on his side.
6
right?
Meaning head up with the tight end.
Head up with the tight end, right? So that's a check that they make various times. And I don't even think it's a check. It's just maybe like a live tag where it's like as soon as they see it, they're going to bump to it, in this front. It's not exactly – the coach doesn't have to call it.
When I watched the offense, it looked like TJ Watt did that quite a bit as well, where he went head up on Rucker or Mason Taylor at the 6 technique. So
the reason people do that is when the back is opposite you, a lot of defensive coaches, and across all levels think, okay, the run is going to me if the back is opposite me. Because, a lot of a shotgun, a lot of handoffs go across the QB's face.
Right. So you're saying this is going to be a run toward the left side where Will McDonald is.
Yeah. So that's what the call would. Yes, that's what the call be. Okay. So they think, okay, if it's run away from me, right, or they're going to run duo because they're stacking the close. The back is on the same side as the close side, right? We're going to put the end in the 6, so he's able to play more downhill runs like duo, right? That's specifically for runs like duo, right? And zone leads and stuff like that. So he can be more involved, not just out and about. And there's also probably a check for a wing because you don't want Stevens to have to come fit a B gap or a C gap based on. So he's going to be, okay, we're just going to be in cloud force, and he just plays the force player on the outside. He just keeps everything inside of him because you don't want Brandon Stevens having to fly down and play an interior gap. But it's a lot easier if he can just sit there in his flat, right, and he can just wait for the ball and keep everything inside of him. So that's good. So my notes for this is like this is something we're gonna see more of. I feel like is duo and more downhill runs because if you see
people running duo against us, you're saying that should be what we should expect.
A coach worth their salt, there's gonna see that we're playing gap and a half up front, and if anyone needs me to find that again, let me know. But we're gonna so. What the problem with that is you see this B gap or this backside B, what I call the B gap bubble on the bottom of the screen, right? It's going to open up like the Red Sea because we're in a wide 9, right?
Yep. Between Harrison Phillips and Will McDonald here.
Yeah, exactly. And there is no check. I don't know if it's supposed to be. This could be Quincy Williams' fault, or I don't even know if this is in the toolbox. Quincy's bumped out all the way where the nickel would be.
Okay, gotcha. Right here.
So normally, if a backer has to bump out that way, it's called apexing. If he has to split the difference between the end man on the line of scrimmage, which would be the tackle, and the number 2 wide receiver, he has a call he can make until the end. Hey, you got to play that B gap because I'm not going to be able to make it.
Okay.
Right. So that clearly wasn't called, or Will McDonald didn't get the call, or they say, hey, we're just going to play it because we want our ends in a wide 9. We're just going to, and we're gapping half and up front, so we're just going to play it. I don't know what the coaching point is, but this is a pretty big run. They didn't have too many of ones that have a chunk play like this. And you see that he cuts right up into that B gap bubble, and Will McDonald's not there. He's in a wide 9, and it
looks like Sherwood's filling up that A gap.
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the bad things about linebackers that are so aggressive. He doesn't even give himself the chance to flow to the front side of the play.
Sherwood, you're saying?
Yeah, sure would. Which
because
is
of how
again, it's
fast
good
he
and
came
bad.
downhill.
Yeah, like if he understood that gap might close up and he didn't scream down, he just if he stopped right there and he put his feet in his gap. That's what I would call it as a linebacker. You put your feet in your gap. You show colors. The running back's going to cut because any good running back's going to cut as soon as he sees colors. Right, and then you can flow back across, scrape. If you probably heard that term before, he can scrape back across, and he can play the ball inside out and vice it between him and Quincy, and vice it.
So he can force the running back into the wrong decision essentially by playing inside the A gap, but then scraping over to the B gap.
But instead, he just screams downhill. Which again, I get as a linebacker. I played linebacker. I get it. I want to go scream downhill too, and I want to go light him up. But sometimes it's not the best decision. And
now, when you're watching
Kiko
Malinois over here on the backside of the play, is that more of an indicator of what Sherwood should do, or they're just two separate responsibilities?
No, they're playing it basically the same. Like, Kiko mainly he doesn't see a gap open up because there's so much garbage going on, so he should flow to the backside of the play or front side of the play, whatever you think a tight end should be.
Right.
But, so that's what Sherwood should have done, but especially knowing that Quincy was so apexed out, right? That's just football awareness, which Sherwood messed up a little bit on his awareness on Sunday. He didn't have the best game.
I was gonna say, and we'll get into the next clip also, but I felt like Sherwood was just not where he needed to be quite often. So
yeah, he struggled a bit.
So I'm glad.
Which I said was going to happen last year. No one listens to my takes. I'm not a content. I know, but I said this last year. I'm like, hey, we all like him. I like him too, but he messes up. He's clearly antsy. His footwork isn't very good. He's just fast, and he makes, which I like. Don't get me wrong. I like the guy. I like him. He's a good player. He made the Pro Bowl. I'm not saying he's bad, but you as a linebacker guy, I look at this and I'm like, that you could be better, especially in the NFL. There's things you need to work on,
Right.
And this showed and someone read their head today or last Sunday. Yeah, just play us through real quick. It's just duo hitting that B gap bubble. Again, the B gap bubble meaning that there is multiple, there's it's wide open. So there would technically be an A gap bubble too as well in the over front, but no one really hits the A gap that much, so it's not that big a deal.
So when you say B gap bubble, this void is what you mean.
Look at it open. It's a lot, especially in wide, right? If you're in a wide front like that, wide 9, that B gap bubble is going to be huge. Which is the B gap opposite the 3 tech is normally going to be pretty big. And again, Sherwood should know that and flash colors and be able and fold that over to that B gap as soon as that run gets bounced. But he doesn't. He comes screaming downhill.
And just for the duo sake of it, it's called duo because you have double teams, as many as possible across your defensive line. Obviously, you see the left guard and center here on Harrison Phillips, the right guard and right tackle on Quinnen Williams, and then the 2 tight ends on Tyler Barron. So that's basically what we classify as duo, just double teams at the point of attack.
No.
So there's Quincy coming through the A gap where he should have been a little bit more, slow to,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely should have been. Slow. That's a real term. That's a real for a reason because it's like, okay, cool, you had your gap, but this is the NFL. We don't pay. You get paid for tackles. You get paid for being around the ball. Especially in this defense when your D linemen are so strong up front and they're asking them to play gap and a half and be able to shed the gaps. Play it a little slower. Play a little slower.
100%.
Yeah.
So this one is the third play. This is also, again, same drive. This is the touchdown pass. Comes under a lot of, scrutiny amongst Jets fans, whether it was a man or zone call. Did Michael Carter, was he supposed to carry the number 2 to the bottom, or was he supposed to pass it off? And I'll let you explain it a little bit more, but I know this was a bit of a controversial play.
Yeah. I'll be quick. I feel like I'm taking a long time. I don't know if that's a problem for each of these
Completely
plays.
Fine.
But so the Steelers were running to the left all day, by the way. Just they were running. So they play action to it because, Aaron Rodgers isn't dumb. Arthur Smith isn't dumb. These guys get paid millions of dollars. I know sometimes coaches get too much credit and they get not enough credit at the same time. I remember what I heard. I saw a quote yesterday that Bill Parcells said, "What that these are just glorified gym coaches."
Mm-hmm.
Which a little bit, definitely a little bit. They're not Einsteins, but they get paid millions of dollars to figure you out. So so they're worth their salt, right? But so this is just another weak rotation cover 3, sky weak, right? You got Tony Adams rolling to be the curl flat player on the weak side, therefore weak rotation cover 3. Some people call it cover 6. I know it gets all confusing. I just nerd out, right? But if you're a Saban guy, you call it cover 6, and a lot of people be like, "What? That's not cover 6. It's not."
Yeah, but, it's all team to team, coach to coach, right?
Yeah, exactly. So so and the Pittsburgh is play actioning to the left, right of right. So the right of the defense, the bottom of the screen, and the left of the offense, right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is cover 3. This is not man. This is not man. So this is not Michael Carter's guy. First off, I'll just, at least to me, right? If I'm dead wrong, then I'm dead wrong. But what I saw, right, is that's not Michael Carter's man. He's in his curl flat responsibility. He is the overhang of the defense. He is the apex defender, right? And he's just in a curl flat, and he's passing off the inside release of 2 to his backers, right?
Yep.
But as you see, this is one of the problems when your backers are so aggressive. Is play action absolutely destroys them, and it did all game. And I assume any team we play that's under center is going to do it more. Quincy and Sherwood are just look like they're blitzing.
Yep.
And they are not blitzing. I want to rid of it, because if you're blitzing, you're flying like a bat out of hell, and you see that Quincy kind of pulls up because he's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be here."
Quincy being right here.
Yeah, yep. Quincy being, exactly. And Sherwood too is like, oh, we're not supposed to. We're not all the way out of position, because
it almost feels like Sherwood knew he was compromised in this position here too.
I mean, you're like, God, you're. And then
but real quick, the one thing to me as just like not somebody who's completely nuanced in defense, the reason that I personally considered this zone. One, you have your DBs with their ass to the sidelines, which is one of the surest signs of cover 3. They're giving outside leverage with the single high over top, but every single defender's eyeballs are in the backfield.
Yeah.
If this was man-to-man, they'd be looking more at their eligible receiver that they have to go out and cover.
Yeah.
So,
also, Tony Adams, you see Tony Adams, he would be down on that receiver. You see he's letting him fly right by him if it was man covered.
Yeah, he's letting Calvin Austin go right by him. Stevens is supposed to pick him up. Absolutely.
Yeah, you see, they play a lot like zone. It's not, to me, it's not man at all. But again, it could be. I could be dead wrong. I could be. Like, that's just how it is, right? But in zone, in the weak rotation cover 3, your linebackers, as soon as they recognize play action, they need to turn and run. It's not like a normal zone drop. They don't like, okay, I'm going to start backpedaling, or I'm going to start dropping at a 45-degree angle, right? They have to turn and run and find. It's called roboting. They're going to roll and run, find the drag, dig, and crosser. That's what a coaching term I say. I say, hey, well, if you see play action, you have to robot, because they're trying to get across. They're trying to get a crosser. So you have to go, and you got to play the whole. You got to play the whole play from top down. Which so if you see a crosser, but then you see a drag or shallow cross, don't go bite down on shallow, because they're just gonna throw it over your head. And this is exactly what happened. They bit too hard.
It could be another indicator too, right? Like if they see a linebacker turn and run with a guy, it could give that perception of man. But like you said, it's just that robot tag or call, whatever that they have to do to know that this is
a technique.
A technique, excuse me. Yeah. So they just know that when they have to do that, it's more of a turn and run. It's not man coverage, but they just have to find that zone, that over route or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of zones have match principles, and match is more of a philosophy where it's like, we're going to guard guys, not grass, right? Because it's like, okay, like, cool, I'm in my hook zone, but as a linebacker, but the guy just ran for a touchdown, and
you want to latch on when they come into
your
zone.
It's like, go play them. It's like, what is, why are we wasting you here? Just, it's like, oh, I'm in my zone. Like, no, they have a touchdown. That's what happened. You're not,
So we'll see it from the back end here. I'll just do it a little bit slower. Mike point to Quincy, it looks like. Brings the motion. Now you have Tony Adams, like you said, down in the box as well. They're rolling to you said the close side, right?
Mm.
And then if this was man, you say he would have just taken Calvin Austin on that.
Yeah,
vertical.
or maybe, again, I don't know how their man distributions, like they did play like this before and Steven stayed on Austin. But, but also if you see the play that they did this almost its exact play to score on Stevens or the same look.
The same
Stevens
motion, the same kind of shell from the
Stevens
defense.
looked like he was going to run across the field when he motioned. Here he's just bumping in, if you see that.
Yep.
Because that's what got him on that other play.
And right here, it looks like Adams kind of gives him a little signal here. He's going to like kind of put his left hand out like, okay, hey, I get the guy who's motioning. If he goes into my zone, I take him. If not, we switch and you take the vertical. I'll take the flat route in Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cover 3, Tony Adams would have the flat, and again,
So again, 4 underneath defenders in cover 3, and Tony Adams and Michael Carter are the flats. And then Sherwood and Quincy are the hook curls, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like if you see right now, Tony Adams' eyes are still in the backfield.
Yep.
Like he's not looking at Darnell at all.
Right.
So, it's just there's a couple things that I think I would lean to more zone. That is
because your linebackers are just out of position completely.
Yeah. And they ran a crap ton of cover 3, especially this one, weak sky is what I call. They ran a crap ton of it. So I have no reason to think that this wouldn't be that. And you see Michael Carter's pointing to the safety to nail down on that shallow.
He's a little too high up as the single.
Yeah, he's like, hey, go nail down on that, right? But you see the Steelers they're smart too. They get paid too. That's a pretty shallow crosser. That's not the depth that you would normally think that's at. So the safety's not like, he's hesitating. That's all you need in the NFL. If they hesitate, it's over, right? So he's like, it's kind of shallow. Should I even grab that? Should I even go nail down on that? Which he probably should, right? Mm-hmm. But based on his rules, he's like, should I do that? I don't. It's kind of shallow,
right? But, and my question, I guess, to you, Quincy Williams. Now it looks like he's supposed to be in zone. So how come after the play fake when Rodgers rolls out, he just decides that he's going to take off after him and blitz? Because if he just dropped back in zone, that might be his spot.
Yeah, maybe it was a fire zone call. But he's not running like it's a blitz is my thing.
He's running like he messed up and he's just trying to make a play.
Yeah, he's running like he messed up. He's and again, and that's what I see is like that is they ran a reek rotation cover 3. Michael Carter's didn't play like man. The underneath defenders didn't play like man. So I think it's zone, right? Yeah. Either that or they just messed up so bad that it's impossible to tell.
Yeah, you never want it to be that bad where you just can't tell. But initially, and as I watched it more and more, and I had to kind of draw it up for one of our buddies. I mean, I thought it was zone out the gates, and just based on everybody's eyeballs in the backfield, it was.
Yeah, that's honestly the biggest tell is where people's eyes are. That's the biggest tell.
Yeah, and then the butt to the sideline, like that's such a big cover 3 tell from all the film that I've watched of people breaking down.
Yeah, it can be like, based on the splits of the receiver, definitely. 100%. Absolutely.
All right, so here we are on the 4th play. This is, I believe, in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, should be.
All right. Yep, you got it. What do we got here?
Yeah, so this is the front that I call rush. Because you see the 3 techs are wide in and the ends are wide in, and it's a pass rush front. They're trying to spread the offensive line. They're trying to get they're trying to force him to really dictate their slide, right? And they're trying to get a 2-way go for the interior, and it's just a pass rush front. You see like this is not a front to stop the run. It could be, I guess, but I'm not going to nerd out for you right now, but so what I saw is they showed cover 8 poach, right? So that's what I said that they showed to me, right? Cover 8 meaning you're clouding the strong side of the formation, which is the up top, the passing strength of the formation. Cloud meaning cover 2 or some variation of it, right? Mm-hmm. And you got a half safety playing over 1, and then poach is meaning that backside safety versus 3-by-1, which would be this is a trips look, is eyeing number 3 to make sure he doesn't go vertical. Yeah, as you see, that's like where
Cisco
his
eyeing up. Or is that Tony Adams eyeing up the tight end here?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's done a lot when you don't have an athlete at number 3 as well, because like, if he's an athlete, it might be a little tougher to do. You might have to have somebody right over top of him.
Right.
But
if that's Garrett Wilson, that's an easier opportunity.
Yeah. It's called speed at 3. If they have speed at 3, you might see a different call, right? But
okay.
I mean, yeah. So, but right now he's eyeing 3. Make sure any vertical routes he can nail down on. And honestly, I like this call. I like the rally. The reason I think it's cover 8 and not quarters, because it gets confusing, is I see Cisco bail really quick at a 45.
Yeah.
And that's, if he's in quarters, it's a little more aggressive coverage. He's probably, instead of trying to get so 45-degree fast, he's probably going to try to shuffle backwards a little bit and get his read. It could be quarters, but that's the reason I thought, okay, because also they clouded Stevens a few times. That's what I like to see. Okay, we're going to allow Sauce to be one-on-one. We're going to rotate the coverage away from Sauce and be like, hey, Sauce, you go do Sauce things. Right, you see, yep. Tony Adams is not helping on decap at all. Obviously, the screen is going, right? The ball's already thrown. But even pre-snap, he was not looking at Sauce.
No.
Yeah. It's like, okay, Sauce, you're going to do number one corner things, and we're going to rotate our coverage away from you because Stevens isn't as good as you.
Sauce basically gets the Revis treatment. It's like, go lock down 50% of the field, and we don't have to worry.
Exactly. We're not only going to rotate coverage away from you, we're going to have our safety till you play poach and not even look at you unless there's absolutely no threat coming his way, Mm-hmm. And that's what I like to see the defense rally. I like to see, even though Cisco's in a half, he sees that screen, sees that ball thrown, and he's nailing down, and we're playing football. And this was a great third down stop to force fourth down. And honestly, I love seeing stuff like that.
And that's Michael Carter, who's on kind of head up on the number 2, who's going to receive the screen. I love what he does, working toward the numbers to make that number 3 Freiermuth block him toward the outside, so that Jonnu has no 100%. Choice but to cut back inside where all the help is.
It's good football, and we saw times where they didn't do this, right? But you gotta as a defensive player, you either make the tackle or you force it to your help. And we saw the tackles that they missed. The reason the miss was so bad is because they didn't force it to their help and they got out leveraged.
Like Tony Adams on DK Metcalf, where he was in the flat and he just let him get to the outside and he got like 15, 16 yards.
You can't miss outside. If that's, it's like, okay, if that happens, at least make him cut back inside because we have 10 other guys screaming to go take this guy's head off.
Right.
Instead, there's nobody. And he got 15 yards, a good chunk, 20 yards.
Yeah, that was a big play in the game.
Yeah.
So, you see it again.
And honestly, I like this not necessarily because of the intricacies of the call. I mean, I like seeing everybody run to the football. I love that. But I like seeing that Glenn and Wilks will play too high, and they'll rotate the coverage away from Sauce, and that's what I think we'll see more of versus Buffalo, because I don't think they're that strong of a rushing team. They will run. Don't get me wrong, James Cook is good, right? But I see as we see teams that we can really trust our box to just play, where we're going to see more too high stuff. We're going to see more cover 2 man, some different cover 1 variations, because we saw like one version of cover 1, maybe 2. The whole Sunday, and I was like, okay, we're just seeing. I charted like the same play like 12 times. I was like, this is the same call,
which it's probably on purpose, right? But it's also going to be something that if it doesn't increase and you don't have more versatility in your defense, eventually you're going to get picked apart.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think this is just a gauge to see where they can keep going for the season. Because if you don't call your cover 1, your go-to play, which I call it one lurk. That's what I'm familiar with. They're calling it one lurk, where the linebacker is your rat in a hole. They did some one robber, which with the safety would be the rat in a hole coming down, right? But they did a lot of one lurk, a little bit of one robber, and they just did some cover 1 with a 5-man pressure in front of it, and so they did them. But if they never call that, then how are they going to know whether to call it more or call it less? So you gotta like sooner or later you got to tell, hey guys, you got to play the call, and we'll go from there.
So you said one lurk is cover 1 with a linebacker.
Yeah.
One robber is cover 1 with a safety.
And one rat would be a D lineman, if you want to go that far.
Perfect. I'm putting it all in the chat because somebody joked that we're going to have a quiz later, and
yeah, guys, I'm not nerding out too much, but if I ever use a term that someone's confused about, please just send a quick chat to Dylan and he'll let me know.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, Scott, just put in all your questions. If
Yeah,
I see
I
you
love
throwing out
questions.
terms and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'll
Yeah,
talk your ear off, dude. Like,
we could all nerd out together. We
Yeah.
don't have Drew for a ton of time, but I would love to
and this
nerd
isn't
out a
even
little bit.
scratching the surface. This isn't even. I could
Yeah.
we're just giving you a nibble because I don't want to turn anybody off because I've talked to people that are casual football fans and I just can't help myself. And all of a sudden, I see people's eyes glaze over. They're like, I just like run football, hit hard." I'm like, "Okay, my bad."
Yeah, we're kind of bridging the gap, right, between the layman's terms and the nerd terms. We're trying to bridge the gap here on this channel. So everybody, hit the like button on this video, subscribe if you're new. Drop any questions you have for myself or Drew, and we will get to all of them. Super chats will cut the line. Consider gifting memberships to the A1 Since Day One community. Allow people to get the exclusive content, the exclusive film breakdowns that I'm putting out each and every week. So I would appreciate all of that from you guys in the chat. This is the final play here. I believe we're now into the fourth quarter of the game.
Yeah, and a lot of these plays I picked, they're very lame to the average fan, but it's like I like seeing the mechanics of the front and the coverage, and I like seeing okay, maybe this isn't the most flashy play, but what is this defense good at? What's this defense bad at? Not necessarily like their players, but like what's some schematic things that might give us trouble, right? What's some stuff that how does this front react to different blocking schemes and to different runs? And so that's my nerd stuff, right? If you guys want different plays, let me know. So this play, they actually, again, I showed 2 plays where they got a decent chunk run, right? And honestly, I just wanted to credit the Steelers on it. This was a play. I was like, oh, well, what are you going to do? Sometimes they're going to play, hey, you got your yards, And again, it wasn't the biggest play. Don't get me wrong. I think it was like a 7-yard run, 9-yard run, which is it's a big run, but it's like, so this is another wide front sky week. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I put that in the chart, right? So we're going to be wide front. We're going to have 2 9s, right? We're going to have a loose 1 and a loose 3, right? And they're going to be tilted a little bit, and they're playing gap and a half, and they're going to make everything spread laterally, right? And we're rotating Tony Adams down weak. Again, I thought they were going to rotate more, give a little bit more versatility in their rotations, but no, Cisco was the middle field player the whole game.
Yeah, and it seemed like coming into the season, that was my assumption on how they were going to do it. Whereas it felt like with Saleh, it was, hey, we're going to use you interchangeably more, and you'll play free and strong. Whereas it looks like more, at least for the 1 game sample size, Tony Adams was the box safety. I think
that may be more of I don't know, maybe referendum isn't the right word, but that might more be what they think of Tony Adams too. Because I like Cisco in the box. I think he can tackle better than Tony Adams.
So
right?
Eventually, if they switch to Malachi Moore and
if they
have
trust
more
him
Cisco,
to be that guy,
that's more interchangeable.
Yeah. If they trust him to be that guy, then yeah. But if they still don't, then they're like, hey, you're just gonna be our box safety, because honestly now in a lot of nickel defenses, the weak safety, which people would use, that free safety, quote unquote, the weak side of the formation is starting to become that more box player. So now instead of free safety and strong safety, it's like you're strong safety and weak safety. So technically the strong safety that would be on the same side of the Sam, he's now becoming that safety that rotates to the middle of the field, which is Cisco right now.
Yeah.
Right. Which in years past, the strong safety would be where Cisco is, and he'd be rotating down over the Sam. Right. But in a lot of defenses that run a lot of nickel, right, or they trust their Sams to cover, they're going to rotate weak more. So that's why Cisco is seen more toward the strength of formation, because we're rotating weak a lot.
Right.
Okay. Just my little bit more nerdy.
The rotating weak is the part that always gets me, because I'm looking at it from the offensive perspective. So when
I look at it from a defense.
Exactly. So when you say weak, it's really to the defense
away from Sam. Away from
Sam. Yes.
And the Sam would be nickel, like interchangeable terms. A lot of people still call their nickel Sam backer just to provide some continuity between base and their nickel packages, right? But
so the Sam is Kiko Maui Noah right
now.
Strong side over the tight ends. Okay.
Yeah. So this what I call zone lead, right? And again, what did I say a big problem in this defense was? Is that B gap bubble what are they doing? They're attacking that weak B gap, right? They're widening, they're keeping that end wide, and they're attacking that space. And honestly, it could be, and honestly, it's that B and C gap space now. They're widening it more when they bring over that extra tight end. They know, okay, this weak side of the formation, they're counting on Harrison Phillips to do a lot of the heavy work on that backside, right? As the guy who's in a 2-eye or a loose shade, however you want to define it, right? I would say he's kind of in a loose shade. That's what I put. He's not in a 2-eye, right? He's kind of in a loose shade just based on how he acts, but it can play like a 2-eye a lot, which would be inside shoulder of the guard and not outside shoulder of center, right? So this is a great play. And again, when you're in a gap and half defense, right, and where you're playing laterally, the thing you don't want is these runs hitting downhill because you see how much of a problem that causes.
Yeah.
So okay, we're not single gapping. This is they're able to get a nice little chunk play. And honestly, I was just like, there ain't really much you can do about this. So that's what I see. I think teams who go under. That's why I'm not really worried about Buffalo. They don't really run under center that much, as much as other teams. Like they're an NFL team. They do it sometimes, and but they don't want to be there. Josh Allen's a shotgun. Let him go work his magic. And I think shotgun runs don't normally hit as quick. Like again, you see duo and stuff, right? But I think runs under center give us more problem than anything from a team that wants to play gap and a half. And this is a play. Arthur Smith cooked up something good. And if only he did this 50 more times, maybe they would have ran the ball for him, but they didn't. And they still beat us. So I don't even know why I'm trying to talk mess to Arthur Smith. They won. But, but I mean, they could not run the ball unless to save their life. And I loved seeing that. And this is what they had to do to run the ball. They had to put 2 tight ends off the ball, do formation I don't really ever see. And they had to both of them be a lead blocker for a zone play to the weak side B gap bubble. If you got to do all that to run the ball on this, and you don't even get more than 8 yards, okay,
and you're using your 6'7" massive tight end in Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out real quick, if this was a play action, Rodgers is dead. Will McDonald is going to kill him. Yeah. Look at this move he's putting on Broderick Jones. Like, absolutely no shot Rodgers would have had. I know Will kind of slipped at the end of his arc there, but Rodgers would have been dead if that was play action.
Yeah, so. I mean, we got some dudes. I'm hearing people be like, our D-line didn't get a lot of pressure. I'm like, well, I mean, it's because they got the ball out. I mean, let's
Rodgers has the quickest time to throw. It's not
I don't like seeing all these stats. It's like, okay, well, D-line, they got 4 sacks, but they weren't getting – their pressure rate wasn't high. It's like because dude's 40, doesn't want to get hit. We were lighting them up. I'm like, did we watch the game? Are we watching the game?
4 sacks, 7 QB hits.
Yeah.
He was
the
still
D-line did whatever the heck they wanted to do. It's just the secondary and the linebackers in coverage. There's a few coverage busts. That's it. I didn't even think Aaron Rodgers played particularly well. I think the coverage bust made it easy for him. And he's a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. Like Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play well for us, and I stand by that. He has responsibility for how bad the offense was last year. But he's a smart guy. If you bust the coverage, just kind of throw it. I mean, it's not. He didn't do whoa. It's like, come on, I mean. Yeah. So again, just honestly, you just play the clip the whole way through.
Okay.
And just get to the end zone. Yeah, it's a nice little. I mean, that's how you draw it up as an offense. And honestly, you see Sauce getting a little tackle in there. I like seeing that. He's not the biggest guy. I like seeing him get a little physical. Right. So honestly, slow it down now so we can talk about the techniques of the D line. That's honestly what I want to see. So again, Quinnen and Harrison Phillips, they're both see that. And honestly, if you see Harrison Phillips in the shade, I wouldn't call him a 2-eye because he looks tilted,
like leaning in towards.
Yeah, and his read is clearly the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I wouldn't call him a 2-eye. But again, it's all up to interpretation. It really doesn't matter. But that's why I wouldn't call him a 2-eye. Right, and you see they're both tilted. They're trying to take away both A gaps. They're trying to make runs go laterally, right? And that's that's kind of exactly what it does. It hits the C gap space, right? So that's but it's a quick hitter.
So you said this is gap and a half, right?
Yeah.
So Quinnen is occupying the B, shedding to the A.
Yeah.
Harrison Phillips is going to the A, shedding to the B.
Or opposite A too, honestly, like depending on how the run goes. Like if someone pulls and the gaps move, he can shed and cross face.
Okay.
If someone pulls. So honestly, stay right there, honestly. You see how lateral they're moving. Mm-hmm. The two, so that's what's supposed to happen. Like, okay, we can't have this run hit. Obviously, when you run two tight ends up into the gap, it's gonna hit quick, right? Mm-hmm. This is not a referendum on this thing if it works or not, because clearly it works. And also I want to say you don't run gap and a half unless your D linemen are dudes, at least at the NFL level. Like it's they don't have to be the biggest or strongest necessarily, but they have to be able to play the technique, right? And they have, because there's ways to shed blocks without being the biggest and the strongest, and there's ways to play techniques without being the biggest and the strongest. But you think, hey, my guy can shed NFL caliber offensive lineman whenever the heck he feels like it.
And it sounded like Harrison Phillips after the game admitted that he was still doing things from the old regime that he was being coached on and not necessarily these new techniques. So he even said it. He's like, I hope this is my worst game. And obviously as Jets fans, you hope it's his worst game as well. But it just shows that even a 29-year-old who's been in the league for so long, this is his third NFL team, he's got to learn new techniques and new things to add to his tool belt as a defensive lineman.
And
so
honestly,
I'm glad
to me, he didn't even play bad. He probably just has a high standard for himself, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too, which is oozing leadership. Like it's amazing to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, before we keep going, Bill M in the chat, he says, here it is. The NFL fined Will McDonald $14,491 for pretending to throw a grenade after sacking Aaron Rodgers in Week 1. I didn't
even see that.
I didn't even know that he did this, but this is absolutely soft by the league. It's ridiculous. If I was Will McDonald, I'd come out and I'd be like, I was a pro 3-time high school bowler. I was bowling. I wasn't rolling a grenade.
I was bowling.
That's absolutely ridiculous. The NFL is so soft. All right, back to the play.
Yeah,
you see the D linemen; they're moving horizontally again.
Yeah, you see. Look at this is a beautiful shot actually. Look at Quinnen. Look at his hips. His hips. He's leaning right, and he's moving. He's making sure he's moving with his feet. Mm-hmm. Right. He's keeping his hips in his gap. Rex Ryan would love this, by the way. His hands. He's and again, hand placement isn't that important. You see people being like, "Oh, his hands." I listen. D-line coaches be like, coaches, as long as, you coach however you want to coach, don't make it. It's not that big a deal. Like get your hands on the inside of the pads, and play football. And honestly, hearing guys like Rex Ryan and honestly D-line coaches, I was like, makes sense. Makes sense. Like, hey, he can align, he can be varied in his alignment, and it's just how good is your player. That's going to determine where his hand should be, how good his technique should be. If he's a dude and he's like, okay, we're going to play him a little bit looser, he can do more things like Quinnen, you're not going to worry about it. Okay, Quinnen, your hand should have been a little bit more towards his sternum. No, dude, go play. Go, you're a dude. Go play football. But again, this is a great shot of his technique, keeping his hips in his gap. You see his shoulders are a little bit detached from his hips here.
Yeah.
Right? He's keeping his hips in his gap. He's playing laterally. He's pressing that offensive lineman to try to reestablish the line of scrimmage. And that's a lot different from the type of stuff he was doing last year. Being in a loose 3, he's really gap charging, right? And again, he'd take on he'd be taking on that outside shoulder of that guard like a bat out of hell. And there's good and there's bad of that, right? But this is just showing the difference in technique, that even though we're still in a wide 9 defense, the same as Saleh, that even though you're doing the same things, how it's not so much the everyone likes, oh, he's a 1-high team or he's a 2-high team. It's all what it's Fugazi, it's Fugazi. It doesn't matter. It's fairy dust. It's the techniques, it's the alignments, and it's how they mesh together. This is something that, okay, I'm kind of nerding out right now, but this is a little bit.
Go off.
they're just X's and O's. It doesn't matter. Like Quinnen is like, oh, he's a 3-tech. He's a prototype. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like, it's how do these techniques mesh together? Like you see, like he's getting laterally, right? He's able to stress out the offensive lineman and make sure they get lateral. He could do that from a 4-eye. He could do that from a 3. He could do that from a 2. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? It's like okay, how does it all mesh together? Is everything makes sense, right? That's honestly why I don't really like how aggressive our linebackers are, because if Quinnen's doing this, they should not fly upfield. To be fair,
They should be doing the more slow till you
they
know.
should. They should what I call rope-a-dope, right? And and that's it's where they're stepping into their gap. They're making the offensive lineman work to them, right? So what happens if both the defensive lineman and the linebackers work laterally? That and also I think I told you this last time. The linemen have to get off their combos. They have to, right? Which means that they can scrape back. The linebackers can scrape back and track the ball more. But if they just fly upfield, yeah, you're eliminating double teams, but you're not making a tackle now.
Okay.
Which is good. Honestly, I'm seeing Sherwood be like, hey, I'm not going to fly upfield. I'm going to rock back.
Everybody's kind of hesitant now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I want to see more of that.
Which to, go full circle, the first few clips were from the first quarter where they weren't doing this. And then this is the adjustment, right? This is part of it, is the second level defenders are now slow till they're not just charging a gap.
Badasses up front. Stop touching the lineman. It's funny. I told my own players this. I was like, there's nothing on a stat sheet for a defeated block, for a good punch. Go make the tackle. If you're too worried about, okay, I got to really take on this lineman, you're not worried about the ball then. You're not worried about making it. You're a linebacker, you make the tackle. And especially, again, I go back to Rex Ryan. I love hearing Rex Ryan talk, by the way. He's a great football coach. They'd be like, he'd be like, our back when he coached for the Ravens, he'd be like, our defensive linemen are protecting Ray Lewis. And that's what their job is. And you got 2 guys up here that are gonna protect the hell out of you. And you're quick. You're 220. You're not even Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is like 250, 260. You're not Ray Lewis. Do not touch the lineman. Do not touch him. You will lose 9 times out of 10.
It's giving them the advantage to put their hands back on you and force you out of the play, whichever way they want to go.
100%. And Sherwood's good. He recognizes this. I like seeing the recognize him. He's not, because what Sherwood does too much is he gets out of position. He's too antsy. Right here, he's in perfect position to go either way the ball goes. And I love seeing that, because too many times you see him just sprint to the front side of the play and there's a cutback. It's like, okay, where are you?
It almost looks like Quincy's trying to do that. It almost looks like Quincy really wants to just attack downhill, and Jamie was kind of like, "Whoa, slow, hold on."
As a linebacker coach, I'd say, "What are you doing, Quincy?" But again, he redirects good. But again, it's a game of inches. If he didn't fly so far to his right, he might be able to go disrupt this play more. Right? It's like, okay, yeah, you're quick, you're able to like redirect, but in reality, he should be getting inside Jonnu Smith right now. Should be. Yep. Right. That's where he should be. Right. But again, everything's more fluid. And then if he was quicker, if he didn't jump to his right so far, he wouldn't have to over exaggerate getting back to the other side. Right. But that's, it is what it is, but that's, and then that's where the run goes, right? Because you don't want your safety and you don't want your corner fitting interior gaps, right? The linebacker should be inside Jonnu Smith, and the ball should be tackled right where Sauce was, like it should be going right outside Jonnu Smith. And then the wide receiver cracks Tony, and Sauce is right there for a 2-yard gain, Yeah. But instead you let the run get vertical quicker, and you actually hurt Sauce here, because Sauce is not the biggest guy. You need and Brent, he's tall, right? But he don't have that weight on him. You don't want your corners having to fit a guy going downhill, lowering his shoulder. So that's why, Quincy right here should be trying to stay tight to that tackle's butt.
To the left shoulder, John.
Exactly. Stay tight to that tackle's butt. Make that run. Keep going horizontally, going laterally, going east-west. And then Sauce would have an easier time getting Jalen Warren on the ground. But as soon as any back, Jalen Warren, even Jalen Warren's not that big of a guy, but as soon as the good backs get going north and south, you're making it harder on your corners, who aren't the best tacklers in the first place. So again, you want that going laterally. You want him bouncing outside, and you want that corner being able to fit in an exterior gap and not having a dude come light up his shoulder because Sauce is not that big.
Right. All right.
So that's just me. So that's why it's nitpicky, but like that's how it should be. That's how it should be. I mean, and because 9 yards matters. I know. So it's like he could have got 4, he could have got 3, but instead he was able to drag Sauce an extra 2 because he's going north and south, or 3. Wherever he hit him, and it's just the nuances of that, and it's just the nuances of this front, and it's. I love our linebackers, but I always get upset because they're so antsy. Their footwork is bad, and they make up for it with how fast they are.
Mm-hmm.
But they get out of place, and they can make even more plays. They play a really high risk, high reward style at times.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. They're flying upfield. You can make a nice TFL, but running backs are good. I'm cutting back now.
Mm-hmm. So do you think with this run defense specifically, it's all going to be more horizontal action instead to negate them moving north south?
Yeah, and it's still going to be good. It's still going to be good. I know I'm being nitpicky over how our backers play, but as you see, even as nitpicky as I am, we still did good against the Steelers. But we're going to face better offensive linemen, is what I'm worried about.
Yeah, including this week with the Buffalo Bills, who have one of the best and one of the most, tenured offensive lines. Like they have so much continuity together that it is pretty impressive.
So, I mean, and also a back that can hit home run plays. So it's like, okay, nice TFL, but I'd rather they're going to get a 3-yard gain, but I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have this question from Scott. He says, with our O-line personnel, Drew, and I'm not sure if he means O-line or D-line, he says, what's your overall philosophy and play design? So based on all of this, what would you want to see the most, I guess, out of our defensive line moving forward that we kind of touched on here?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to see them keep playing horizontal, keep shedding gas, let them know like Harrison was talking about, he can our linebackers, even though they do play really quick downhill, what they're going to do is eliminate double teams. So I would like to see our defensive linemen disengage more and make some plays and play like animals because they can, but
you want to see the interior defensive linemen break off double teams.
Yeah, shed. Don't be afraid to shed, because honestly, if our backers are going to play like that, then you're going to get one-on-one blocks, and I don't think many guys can handle our 2 interior defensive linemen one-on-one.
No, I don't think so either. And then you can't really handle the edges one-on-one either. It seemed like they were.
I mean, I like Will McDonald. I mean, I think Michael Clemens is a better down-to-down run defender, but I don't think he's that much better to keep Will McDonald off the field, especially if we're seeing 11 personnel or lighter. I don't even care. Clemens shouldn't even see the field. I mean, I get during 12 personnel, you don't want Will McDonald to be in there, and that's just a coaching thing. You don't want him to put him in disadvantageous spots, right? Like, I like his run defense. I think it's underrated, but that doesn't mean you go put him in a 6 tech on Darnell Washington. That's not what that means.
And there were a couple plays with Michael Clemens who was matched up on the interior. It was Will McDonald, Quinnen Williams, Michael Clemens, and Jermaine Johnson. So I think they're going to try to move them around. Like you said, in 11 personnel when they're going light, I don't want to see him either. I only want to see him in there when there's multiple tight ends or like a fullback in the backfield. So I would agree with that as well. And I don't remember exactly what his snap count was, but I still thought it was
like 50-50. Well, there was like 50 or 50, like 60 offensive defensive plays, give or take. It was probably like 58, 57. Mm-hmm. And then so he played about half of those. Well, because they did again, but also in the first video I was on, that we said they were going to see about 50% 12, 13 personnel. So that checks out, And I don't think Buffalo does it that much. So I think we see more Will McDonald this week, which I love to see. He's an animal.
I was just going to say, so how would you use this defense coming up this week against Buffalo? Are you just
it's better versus spread teams. It's better versus spread teams. So I think we're not going to see as many under center play action, which is what killed it. If you remember, that's like the thing that got us every single time. So hopefully we don't see another one of those for a little bit. But a spread team, our linebackers are more built for it with being able to run sideline to sideline. Our defensive line is in the techniques they play is more built for it. Because honestly, if I see a 12 personnel, I kind of want to go single gap. I say, hey, let's go send some pressure. Let's go put it on them because they want to run the ball.
Hell yeah.
But if you see more 11 personnel and more spread teams, I think our defensive line is built for it. I mean, at that point, you're getting less double teams because you don't have a tight end or two. You're getting less double teams, right? Our defensive linemen are going to be able to reset the line of scrimmage, make plays go east-west, and a lot of spread teams, they want their runs going east-west. So it works to our favor anyways, right? So we'll be able to fit runs out of a light box, right? Or I'm gonna drop 7-man spacing is what it's called, right?
I knew he was going to fit it in there, folks. I knew he was going to try to get it in there,
right? But honestly, that doesn't matter. I like to tell people it's like stacked boxes don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not. Oh, they got 8 in the box. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because also with Fields, if you have a running QB, a stacked box doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It means nothing. That's why. Oh, we're gonna see stacked boxes. I don't care.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined. You have to trust, you have to trust your keys, and you have to stay, contained on the edges. And it's north, south, east, and west threats. It's not just okay. It's only going to be a north south threat with the running back.
And honestly, if you really want to nerd out, if you want a max fit 9-man spacing, you do it at a 2 high. So people are like, so you don't do it at a 1 high, quote unquote stack box. If you want a max fit, you want to stop the QB run. Right, you want to be ready for different option plays, right, out of backfield. You do it from 2 high, So Absolutely. That's and that's quote unquote not a stack box, right? That's what people say. Oh, they're in a light box. No, they're not. It doesn't. But it doesn't. But people don't see that. It's like it doesn't matter. It's all about the techniques and the alignments and angles and how they mesh together. That's why I hear people like, oh, people are going to stack the box against the Jets. The Steelers did that. I didn't see it helping them a lot. I don't know what. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, because honestly, if you just a quick little nerd, and this also lines in the defense. This is how our offense stresses defenses. If you're in a stacked box and you're in 1 high, right, and your defensive end or linebacker has to play quarterback, cutback, reverse, right? That is a lot of space to cover in the NFL. That means you have to make sure Justin Fields hands off the ball. And then when he hands off the ball, you have to try to cover that C-gap space that is now widening because you're not crashing down, right? And that means, and we saw that. Breece Hall would cut back. T.J. Watt's not there, even though he's trying to be, because and even though he did it against Braylon Allen, right, it's a lot of space to cover. And then we saw him we saw Justin Fields outrun him because he's being asked to do 4 different things. Again, but it's a stacked box, so that's not, it's all about the techniques and the alignments, and it's like, and how their guys play. But if they're stacked in the box, if you have a QB that can run, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I loved seeing number 90 diving at the feet of Fields and Breece Hall over and over again in this game because they ran away from him and he wasn't able to come unblocked on the backside and make the tackle in the run. And he could never beat Fields to the edge.
He's
like Fields beat him.
All world.
He's
guy.
One of the most decorated edge rushers in the league right now.
I'm telling you, that's what it doesn't matter. Stack box doesn't matter. I keep trying to tell people, oh well, stack boxes, they're gonna stop our run. No, dude, that's not good. Good run games do not care.
100%. We have 2 quick questions here from Eli. This one's for me. He says, DT, I hope you're prepared for Sunday at least. I am fully stocked up 58 Gs in-house, and I have some THC seltzers on the way to the apartment as well. So I am fully prepared for Sunday, Eli. But his question for you, and I guess me as well, anybody see the report about Jerry Jones wanting Quinnen Williams for Micah Parsons? So Gary Myers
would not do that.
Gary Myers was on the radio and he spoke on the phone with Jerry Jones and he inquired about other teams asking about Micah Parsons and he asked about the Giants and the Jets specifically. And Jerry went on to say, I had a phone call with a New York team and you can obviously assume it's not the Giants. And they basically said we didn't have the resources to allocate toward a Micah Parsons trade. And it seemed like it was a package of 2 first-round picks, so 2026 and 2027, with Quinnen Williams involved in the trade. If that was you, Drew, and Jared Jones called you're Darren Muji, and says, hey, for 2 1s and Quinnen Williams, you can have Micah Parsons. What do you say to that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Because, I mean, one, I don't think we're in a position that warrants that type of that, but that's like that's like the business side of football, right? But in terms of how he played into our defense, I don't really know what that would do, because we lose Quinnen. That's huge.
Yeah, that's
huge.
He was a game wrecker, in my opinion. I know it wasn't full of the stats, but he had a sack.
Yeah.
He had plenty of good, like we kind of showed on film. He just did enough of his job to allow somebody else to come in and make the play.
Yeah, he destroyed. Yeah, I mean, they got to double him every play. They have to, and like if you're in the run, if you're in the run game, it's not him and Harrison Phillips next to each other. It's almost not fair. Seriously, and I love it. The fact that our team is so confident on our defensive linemen that we're saying, hey, you're playing gap and a half, both of you are, and that seriously, I'm talking about the NFL level. You have to have faith in your defensive line to do that. That's stuff that like Philly does because they have dudes. That stuff. That's not stuff everybody does because it's hard to tell a defensive lineman that's going against a good offensive line to be like, hey, you're responsible for multiple gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not a traditional 2-gap, but still.
Our guy Rich in the comments says, great guest, DT. I appreciate it. Drew will definitely be back on multiple times this year. We'll be breaking it down. I also have some other film guys lined up. Hopefully we'll interchange because we can't always hog Drew every single week, but I certainly appreciate you, Drew, hopping on. How much time we got you for? You got a couple more comments, questions to go over?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm fine. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Eli, he follows up and says, not to mention we would have had to pay Parsons stupid money. And like, I understand Quinnen Williams has no guaranteed money left on his deal, and Connor Hughes is making a big deal about it that they're going to have to adjust his contract next year. I'd rather adjust the contract of our longest tenured player than our new coaching staff immediately come in and trade him away for somebody like Micah Parsons, who may be a better talent than Quinnen Williams, but you're sacrificing
so barely, in my opinion.
Right. And you're sacrificing so much future assets that we don't know if Justin Fields is going to be the guy. I would much rather hold on to that one and have Quinnen Williams with a potential quarterback of the future rather than not have a first round pick until 2028, a natural first round pick.
Yeah. I mean, Quinnen Williams is leagues better than Kenny Clark, at least at this stage in their careers. To be honest, I like Kenny, and I think he was a great Packer for a while. But Quinnen destroys games. When he's it's not the same.
Aaron Rodgers does not like going up against 95 in the green and white. It's actually hilarious. Yeah. For how good of friends they are, he hates it.
Yeah.
Ricky New York Live, shout out to you, Ricky. He says, great breakdowns, Drew. Everybody tune in to Ricky New York Live tonight at 8 p.m. on his channel. Absolutely fired up for Ricky New York. And yes, Ricky, I will be in Tampa next week. We will have to do some R&D. We will smoke and debate, and we'll get some R&D in. So absolutely looking forward to next week in Tampa. All right, let's see if we got any more questions here for myself or Drew before we get him out of here. I'm going to do a pre-recorded for the chat. I'm going to do a pre-recorded preview of the Jets Bills, probably coming out later tonight or first thing tomorrow.
Let's talk about. You want to do that real quick? Talk about what happened? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. What are your thoughts about this matchup coming up against the Bills?
I don't want to play as much man coverage, to be honest. I think they got more consistent weapons across the board. I want to see more zone. I think we have the tools, or if we play man, I want to see them go dime. I do. I want to see them go dime. And I think maybe they didn't just because of Pitt's personnel. Mm-hmm. But because he did it in Detroit.
Who would be your dime? You would bring in Malachi Moore, and you'd have him and Michael Carter in the slot, and then you'd have, or who would you bring in as that dime?
I don't know where they are with AZ Thomas. I don't know where he's ready. Right? Maybe they just don't trust the guy yet enough to do that. Right? Like that. Like that could be it. But
yeah, it looks like their two best options right now for dime are the rookies, AZ and Malachi Moore. So maybe, I guess, the best veteran option would be Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Isaiah
sure.
could do it. Isaiah could
I'm not
do
sure
it.
if I would love that.
Yeah, I wouldn't love it, but and it's different. Yeah, like in Detroit, he had dudes that could do it. So maybe that's different. But I feel like if we're gonna play man against spread teams, I don't want Sherwood on a slot.
No.
Honestly, or on James Cook.
No. And my biggest matchup from the defensive perspective is Michael Carter versus Khalil Shakir. And Eli kind of hints at it here. I want to press all their wide receivers. I'm not sure if they need to press, but I also don't think shadowing Keon Coleman with Sauce is advantageous, right? I feel like they could just play sides. And if it happens to be Stevens versus Palmer and Sauce versus Coleman, that's fine, or vice versa. My biggest matchup is Michael Carter II versus Khalil Shakir. I feel like Khalil Shakir lines up mostly in the slot, and he has some of the best chemistry of all the weapons on that offense with Josh Allen. So what do you think Michael Carter versus Khalil Shakir might look like?
I mean, I think he could I think like it's the NFL. I think Shakir's going to get his, but I think it's mostly I think Michael Carter can lock him down and like reasonably stop him, right? I know like it's hard in the slot. People have two-way goes. There's a bunch. He's going to be motion. He's going to be off the ball. Like I know it's tough, right? But I think Michael Carter is one of the best slots in the league. I don't think that's a hot take. So I mean, honestly, watching him more, I like how feisty he is against the run. I'm like, okay, like I heard that
he's so smart, so cerebral against the run.
He had a bad game last. I'm like, I don't know what game you're watching. You saw one missed tackle and he has a bad game. I was like,
dude, thank you. I'm so glad somebody else felt that way because I watch Michael Carter and I still think he is one of the smartest defenders on our team. He is a very good communicator on this defense. When they didn't have him last year, and I know CJ Mosley was missing too, there was just so much lack of communication, and MC brings that in spades.
And a good nickel is such a plus. Like they're responsible for so much. Like I said, he can lock down a slot, and then he's feisty enough in the run to actually be able to, especially on outside runs, he can tackle. And he's good. And honestly,
I would even trust him against Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, absolutely. He could do
Which Eli says tight ends versus linebackers is his concern.
Absolutely. That's why I want to see more zone. Glenn has showed he'll play quarters, and also to wanting to press all the wide receivers, you can play press quarters all day. A lot of people run press quarters. There's programs that just run press quarters. Like
that's crazy.
Like you can run press. You can do press bail cover 3. Like there's ways in zone in that you can. But that's why I love match coverage, because you can play man when it counts, you can play zone when it counts, and so that's why. So that's what they do, and that's what Detroit has done with Glenn. That's what Wilks has done, right? That's what I mean, we have the tools. That's why, and again, I don't think the man matchups favor us right now. Again, like tight ends and linebackers, running back linebackers, slot linebackers, like that's not, and I mean, even Tony Adams rolling down on a slot, and because cover 1's weak rotation normally, at least in nickel it is, right? And then I don't want him doing that. To be honest, I don't. I mean, so I think if he ever ends up on a Dawson or Dalton Kincaid or whoever, I forget what his name is.
Dalton Kincaid. Yeah,
I don't like these guys anyways, but.
Yeah,
he's a dude though. As much as I hate the Bills, he's a dude.
He really is. And Josh Allen always knows how to find him. It's amazing how Josh always finds him.
Yeah, I don't want Tony Adams rolling down when they run a cover 1 5-man pressure and we got no little hole player. I mean, Tony Adams is gonna get did in. I mean, as much as I've sometimes been a Tony Adams defender, be like, well, he's okay. Because he is okay, but when you're playing against a good team, okay turns into bad really quick, so. I mean, in zone he's fine because then he's a speedier guy. He's got decent vision, right? Like he's let him be able to roam a little bit, in a quarter, but don't. I hate. I don't. And honestly, I just see James Cook on a wheel route, and I'm like, even if it's Quincy, I'm like,
I don't love it.
sorry for the
I don't love
sorry
it.
for cussing, but Jesus.
No, it's fine.
I'm
Outside
like,
of
dude.
outside of Michael Carter, I guess focusing more just on the defensive front, who do you think like the onus is going to be on to really do their job?
The D-line pass rush lanes.
Okay.
Pass rush lanes. We do not have to blitz. We do not have to, right? But let's instead of putting a spy on the field every time, the D linemen have to be able to be in their pass rush lanes. What that means is they can't just be running all over the place to try to get pressure, because that opens up lanes, right? That opens up opportunities for Josh Allen to scramble.
And he'll take them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, but that's what I think. Maybe if we do run cover one and stuff, maybe the whoever's the low hole player is going to really spy. But then again, I think the low hole, we're going to need help with the low hole player, because I don't like the matchups in man. So it's like, do I even want him to spy? It's like also man coverage. You turn your backs, Josh Allen takes off. I don't.
He knows that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows that. I'm like, hey, that's why I'm like, hey, Wilks and Glenn have shown the ability to run quarters, to run too high stuff. Let's keep our eyes on Josh Allen, but let's play man when it counts. Because again, you can play man at a quarter stuff. You can play man at a cover 6 stuff. It's because it can look like man coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay. Like that's why people created match coverage, because we like man coverage, but if they start running all over the place they start running rub routes and mesh concepts and stuff like that, and they start doing they start stacking people and the quarterback can run, let's vision the QB, let's play man on certain route distributions and certain releases, and let's play ball. That's why why can't we do that? Which I've seen us do that. Like, and especially on a week where our man matchups don't look as good as maybe they did against the Steelers, which still bit us in the butt, by the way. Even though it was better matchups, right? I can't imagine when the matchups I think objectively bad. I don't. And again, they both shown the ability to run quarters and the want to run quarters. So I want to see more of that, to be honest.
Yeah. Eli says over under 1.5 turnovers for Josh. I think if the Jets want to win, that has to hit the over, right? You got to force 2 types of turnovers, whether it's a Josh Allen interception.
He's
I'm sorry?
better with the turnovers.
Oh yeah, he's very much improved. But it seems like whenever he comes to MetLife, something happens and he gets his wires are crossed and he'll throw like a duck interception to like Jordan Whitehead or something. Yeah. So I would say
I think we honestly we could get a couple picks out of him.
Yeah, a pick and maybe like a fumble where he's looking to scramble and we just knock the ball out. Yeah. So we would say over turnovers for Josh Allen. If the Jets are looking to win, obviously it has to be over, but I think he's capable of creating 2 turnovers on his own. And then over under 3.5 total team sacks. They got 4 last week, and I said Quinnen needed to have 1.5 and Will needed to have 2.5. Mm-hmm. And they got 2 and 1, and then Quincy got the 4th one. I would say they need to repeat that 4 sacks, 7+ QB
I think
hits.
They go under though, just because not because they're not getting pressure, but just because of Josh Allen's escapability, and and they're still going to affect the play.
It could be a sack, but he gets 1 yard on the scramble.
Or he's able to throw it out of bounds. He's able to throw it away or something. Because he got free. So
absolutely. Lou B in the chat. Sorry, Lou B in the chat. I got to shout you out. I appreciate you, bro. He gave me the most epic parking pass at the tailgate for MetLife. I was literally in the same lot as the tailgate. So I can't say thank you enough, Lou B. It was really nice meeting you. And I hope that, if you're down in Tampa, Lou, I hope to see you again, man. And he says Drew is great, which we all are coming to realize after the last 90 minutes. So I appreciate you, Drew. You got to get out of here. I know you got work, so you just let me know.
I'm good for a few more minutes. I mean, it depends. It depends if you have anything more to talk about. I mean, I'm down. I can keep talking about stuff, but if we got nothing more to talk about, it's
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it all. Yeah. We hit all the film plays. We hit the preview versus the Bills. So I mean, all I can say is thank you. Obviously, the chat thanks you. Clearly, you are a very great guest, and we will have Drew back on. If you guys want to follow him on Twitter, it's at Coach Drew Waz, W-A-Z, kind of like Dennis Wazak. So anything else you want to plug? I know you're not really a big content guy, but if you want to plug anything else, you can.
I'm pretty active on Twitter, but so like if anyone has any questions, like, I'll be down in Dylan. I'll be commenting on Dylan's posts. I'll be commenting. If you see me comment on anything, just don't don't be afraid to start a conversation. I'm always down to talk football. I'll nerd out if you want. Like, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And I just dropped your handle on X in the chat for everybody to go follow your work. But before we get you out of here, final prediction. What's the score going to be, Drew?
Oh my God. I kind of hate doing this as a coach.
I know it's always tough.
But,
especially early in the season.
Yeah. Oh, jeez Louise. I think this is what I want. I will say this is what I want. I think 27-24 Jets. That's what I think. That's what I want.
Dude, I have the same exact score, but I just didn't pick a winner yet. It's 27-24.
That's actually where I was. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to be a homer and pick the Jets.
Counting this out a little bit too much because I think I think they're objectively the better team, mainly because of their quarterback. But we're feisty. I think we're going to stick around. We're going to give them problems, and that's what I want.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Okay, I lied. There is one more, a super chat from Lou B, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Lou. He said, "Where did Drew learn this?" And I'll be in Tampa with 40 friends. That's awesome, Lou. I can't wait. Drew, just plug your background a little bit about your football.
Yeah, I played high school football for obviously like as many of us did, and I had good coaches. I had very like cerebral coaches that like, and I played middle linebacker, so I was calling the defense, and I was always interested with making sure I knew where everybody was going and stuff. And then that carried over to college football. I played college football at a small university. Nothing to write home about. Sometimes I hate saying that because like I wasn't like an all like I was good at knowing where I was supposed to be and making tackles. Like that's what it was.
Yeah, you're not going all Ryan Clark on Peter Schrager on me now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, to be honest, Peter, you're not a ball guy. I
hate that. I hate that. That doesn't. That's. I mean, Bill Belichick sucked. Bill Parcells sucked. Rex Ryan sucked. Like, there's a reason we become coaches. It's because that wasn't our path. Yeah. I mean,
I said it to you off stage. I was like, honestly, the people who understand the football knowledge side of it, it will take them much further in their post-playing career than a guy who's just a freak athlete who can't remember the playbook. Yeah. So it's almost better to be a coach because then you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And also, I told you the other day, like I know a lot of NFL players, and a lot of them don't know anything.
It's quite ridiculous, honestly, when you really look at every athlete in the NFL. It's like, dang, you might know more. Like there's tons of Jets fans that know more ball knowledge than people that are currently playing.
Yeah. And then I guess where I learned more of the stuff, I just went researching myself. I like reach out to a lot of guys that know more than me. I've gained a lot of access to a lot of guys that have like a plethora of resources. Like I have a bunch of playbooks. Like, and again, not because I know the coaches of these teams personally, but I have a lot of Bama playbooks. I have a lot of Vic Fangio playbooks. I have Rex Ryan playbooks. I have Bill Belichick playbooks.
Hell yeah.
I have.
We're gonna have to get you to send those over.
It's just reading and learning from guys that know more than me. Is like is all it is. Because there's always someone that knows more, and
you have to be self-taught to a degree, 100%. Whether you're finding the research on your own or seeking out people who will give you the knowledge on your own. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Eli says film breakdowns of Drew's college games during the bye week. If we have access to those films, I don't know if he wants to do it.
I don't have access to those anymore. They've been kicked me out of that stuff. So
awesome.
I wasn't good enough to have a highlight tape made of me on YouTube. So
there's no Drew Waz cut-ups on YouTube?
No,
come on. Just Bombs Productions, Drew Wasowicz? Come on.
I wish I was good enough for him to do that. That'd be fun.
Right, Drew, I can't thank you enough for this. Almost an hour and 45 minutes of your time. I really appreciate it. I saw you give a little side-eye look to your partner there. So I'm sure you got to get off and get ready for work. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. And
of course, it was great.
We'll definitely talk soon, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you again.
Take care. There he goes. That is all 22 Drew Wasowicz. I will once again put his handle in the chat for you guys. Coach Drew Waz. Yeah, that's he's gonna be definitely in here throughout the season. I'm really excited for him. I reached out to another film guy. I'm sure you guys all know him from Jake. He calls in Malcolm Flex. I'm gonna hopefully have him on next week to break down the Bills game. I'm hoping to do all of this earlier in the week because being at the game, I didn't even start my film rewatch until Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon after work. So I'm hoping now that I'm in the office for week 2 against the Bills, as soon as I'm done with Nick Shine and the watch along, everybody tune into Nick Shine's watch along at 12:30. I will immediately go into the rewatch of the broadcast, and I will Monday after work get right into the all 22. So I'm hoping next week will be a little bit more formatted how I want to approach the rest of the season. But when I'm at these games in person, it's very hard for me to travel back and then get to the film as soon as I want to. So I'm hoping that everything's a little bit pushed forward this week. We can do the recap, we can do the film dive, and then we can do a nice preview all live, 3 separate episodes. This one I felt like it was very condensed this week. So with that, we'll continue going over your questions here. I saw some questions in the chat that I wanted to answer. Rich has given his prediction, 30-24. I would love that. 2 30-point games back-to-back to start the AG and Muji regime. That'd be fantastic. And Tanner Engstrand, I mean, that would just be enormous for a guy like Engstrand, who, by the way, is getting included in tweets of, Dan Campbell must miss Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and Tanner Engstrand. Like, it's just amazing to see Tanner get all that love after this week. Bill M says, does Arian Smith return kicks this week? If I had to guess, the 2 guys that are going to be back there would be Arian Smith and the newcomer Isaiah Williams. They had to bring him from Cincinnati's practice squad straight to their 53-man roster. So I would say it's going to be Smith and Williams. Obviously, Kene has been ruled out with the hamstring. I think that's possibly going to be another game too. It doesn't seem like they were very optimistic about his chances of playing this week. So maybe we don't see him for 2 weeks, and that's why they had to make this move on top of cutting Xavier Gipson. I don't know. I don't think they're going to elevate Jamal Pritchett. If I had to guess, I'd say no, considering they went out and got a guy off somebody's practice squad instead of elevating their own. I would say it's going to be Arian Smith and Isaiah Williams. Also, thank you again, Eli, for the $2 super chat. That was really appreciated. So Rich gave his score prediction of 30-24, and he says, win this game, period. I think I would literally take a 2-0 win over Josh Allen and the Bills and not care. And I feel like most Jets fans are on that same wavelength. We saw 32 points last week. I don't necessarily need to see an explosion of offense. I just want to see a goddamn win, and against Buffalo would be huge. Eli, will I be taking advantage of the FanDuel promotions this Sunday? I cannot partake, unfortunately. 2 things I'm not allowed to do here is legally smoke and gamble on sports. South Carolina is not very fun for that. They have other things that I can enjoy, like many, many laws are very loose down here, but not gambling or smoking. So those degenerate activities have to wait until I'm in an area. So I've gone to my brother's in North Carolina and placed a bet, obviously, and I stayed the weekend. I didn't just go to North Carolina and make a bet, but I would have to go to North Carolina if I wanted to make any bet slips, unfortunately. Not really ideal here in South Carolina, but I want to take advantage. I mean, Jake asked me on Thursday about the Thursday night game. He said, would I take the Packers and what would I do with the over-under? I guessed 27-21, so the Packers -3 and under 48.5. They won 27-18, so I was 3 points off being exactly correct on my Thursday prediction. So maybe you guys should just tail those bets on Thursday afternoon when I'm on with Jake and he asks me about the Thursday night games, but I myself can't partake, unfortunately. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. I know Alan was here for a little bit and then he dropped out. I don't know if he asked any questions, but Bill M says 49ers elevated Adrian Martinez off the practice squad. That's cool. I don't love that he's 1 injury away from seeing significant action in the NFL, and I'm glad that it's not for us. So if it had to be for anybody, let Robert Saleh go deal with Adrian Martinez in a real life game. And maybe Kyle Shanahan can get something out of him and in backup duty, but that's a nothing burger to me. I was glad that they decided to keep Brady Cook over Adrian Martinez. Bill says flex. Yeah, I'm hoping to get Malcolm on. I'm trying to line it up, I think, for Wednesday of next week. So trying to fit in all the film breakdowns and everything like that. Yeah, he's behind Mac Jones, but Mac Jones is the starter because Brock Purdy's injured. So in the year 2025, if my quarterback room is McCorkle Jones and Adrian Martinez, I'm very worried. And I think it might be time to consider sounding alarms on the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like it's just run its course, right? How many times can you do the same thing over and over and expect different results and just not get them? And the injuries are plaguing them deeply. Oh, Eli's giving us a same game parlay here. Jets plus 6.5, Brees over 59.5 rushing, Brees over 18.5 receiving, Brees over 82.5 rushing and receiving, Braylon Allen over 17 rushing, Brees anytime touchdown. What are my thoughts? I would like to say Braylon Allen gets 17.5 yards, but of all the things that you've presented in this, I think that's the one that catches me up the most. He had 6 carries for 9 yards in the touchdown. The touchdown was an 8-yard run. So he had 5 carries that netted him 1 yard. So not necessarily encouraged by that first performance, but also we saw what Derrick Henry did to Buffalo last week. He went for 180, I think, on his own. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Braylon is more effective against a defense like Buffalo. So I would take this, but I think Braylon's rushing would make me a little bit tentative a little bit. But if you want to, sprinkle $5 extra on that for me, go right ahead, Eli, and we'll sweat it out together. Rick Kent says, "Hey everyone, the legend is in the building." Appreciate you, Rick. Rich, almost 1,000 subs. I haven't checked in I think like a day and a half. I know I was up over 925 on Thursday. Oh yeah, 930. We're getting there. 70 more subs away from 1,000. I'm trying to coordinate some kind of giveaway at 1,000. I don't want to tease too much because I don't want to get people's hopes up. If anything, it might just be a DT merch T-shirt, which I'm trying to push out there. I have a couple in my apartment now that I have to send out to some people. But I think at 1,000, we'll do some kind of giveaway of either a Jets item or a piece of my own merch. So really excited to hit 1,000. I can't thank you guys enough for all your support. We're still in like the first, 4 or 5 month period of this channel. And I think the growth has been exceptional. So I'm really, really excited. And I can't thank you guys enough. Eli says, I took the Allen bet, but terribly. It was plus 967 just for Braylon Allen. Ooh, I mean, that helps your parlay, like in terms of like if it hits, but that's kind of sketchy. If that one leg was plus 967, I probably wouldn't have taken it then. Yo, Holmes, my guy, what's up, man? Fields will have a day on the ground too. I have Fields over 225 total. Yeah, that's fair. He had 212 on the through the air last week, and then he had 48, I think, on the ground. So it's at 260 total yards. Yeah, I could see him doing this. I think even if his passing production comes back down to where his career averages at about 170 to 185, you could still get there. I think he's good for 30 to 40 yards on the ground. So I would agree with this. Oh, the whole parlay was 967. That's much better. So what did you sprinkle? 10? So you're winning $967. That's not too bad, Eli. Scott says, wonderful cast. Absolutely, Scott. This community is it's part of why I named you guys the A1 since day one. You guys are literally the best community out there on YouTube. It's not just sports. It's not just Jets. It's everything all encompassing. You guys are one of the most interactive, one of the most engaging, embracing chats that I've ever been a part of. So Greatly appreciate you guys. We got an OG in the house. Neil, shout out to you, Neil. I hope everything goes right this weekend and I get to meet you next week in Tampa, because I know you'll come if they beat Buffalo. I know you said it. I'm happy to have you on board, Neil. Thank you for subscribing. We are one closer to that 1,000 mark. I'm really excited to hit that. Bill says OG. Absolutely an OG. We love having Neil here. We had a question from Lane earlier in the chat. I cannot find it, but he asked if he could call in. To that, I'll say in a couple weeks, we're going to do call-ins. We're going to start trickling them in on this channel. I want to get you guys more involved in this as well. So I know that's something that a lot of you guys are really interested in, and we'll get there eventually. I'm trying to figure out the right time, whether it's a post game and everybody can yell at me, or if it's, more at the end of the week when we're previewing the next game, so people can give me how excited they are for the game. I'm still trying to plan out how the call-ins are going to work, but we're certainly going to get there eventually. Big Green, shout out to you. I appreciate you, man. He says, love your stuff. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm trying to bring a little bit of a different perspective. There's so many great content creators that you could take like 10% of each person's, game and what they do on their channel, and you can really make it into your own. My biggest thing is I want to show up prepared and informed so that hopefully I can inform you guys along the way. And like I said, during that film breakdown with Drew, we're trying to bridge the gap between, layman's terms and the super nerdy stuff. Like, let's meet somewhere in the middle where we can all understand this game of football, which really, when you break it down, it's not as hard as it seems. Yes, you have to be physically gifted, but like in terms of the knowledge of football, sometimes it's as simple as a 3-letter word with an L in it means 3 offensive linemen move to the left. Like sometimes it's literally that easy. And having somebody like Drew who can break it down in a nuanced sense, but also pull it back, define the words as we're going through it, and really teach along the way, I think that's such a huge benefit that you'll get on this channel. Bill is the tracker now. 931. Hell yeah, we're getting there. You know what that means? Shout out to Nick Shine. We need 69 more. 69 more subs. We will get there. My guy Stack. Yes, the tracker. 931. We got to get there, Stack. I appreciate you tuning in as always, my guy. Neil says, where are you from in South Carolina? I'm looking at a golf trip and spending some time in North Beach Plantation. I have no idea where that is, Neil. I'll be honest. I've only lived here for 4 months this time around. I lived in the same town, Spartanburg. So Spartanburg, Greenville. It's the northwest corner of South Carolina. I'm about 30 minutes from the border of North Carolina. I'm also about 4.5 hours away from any coast or beach. So North Beach Plantation sounds like it's near the water. I would say that that's 3+ hours away from me. But if you're looking for a golf trip and you ever need an extra, I'll drive. I'll drive and come meet you, Neil. Absolutely. We can get a golf trip going. That'd be cool. That'd be exciting. I think there's some really good golf course. Obviously, Hilton Head is here, right? They have like 3 championship level courses. But yeah, South Carolina, I mean, I enjoy playing golf here compared to New Jersey. The grass is different. The ball comes off the surface different. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully that works out for you. And if you ever need an extra band, I will join. Always, Neil. Let's see. Now you guys are just spamming your parlays this past week. I love it. Yeah, Big Green. This is exactly what I said last week. Maybe you were tuning in when I said it. 4 yards a carry wins them the Steelers game. And I know they averaged 4.7. They did everything right in that game from an offensive perspective against the Steelers. They just couldn't overcome the fumble by Xavier Gipson. You can't give Aaron Rodgers 25 yards to go to score the game leading touchdown, right? That's how they took the lead 31-26. So 4 yards per carry. Yeah, I hope that they can maintain that. 2+ rushing touchdowns would be nice too. Get over 160, 170 total yards on the ground, and I think you're having a good day. Addison in the chat. What's up, man? I appreciate you hopping in. Let's see what else we got. Yo, Holmes says no gators in New Jersey. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's gators. There's got to be gators in South Carolina, but I haven't encountered any. For those who are in the Discord, Nick Shine's Discord and Jake's Discord, I think I put it both. I did encounter a bear yesterday at work, but the customer was feeding it out of her hand, which was absolutely insane to see. She was just down there, knelt down by a bear, a big ass bear, feeding it grapes out of her hand. So no gators, but a lot of bears. Speaking of Gators play LSU tonight. I'm really excited to see Garrett Nussmeier. I feel like he hasn't been able to do enough to solidify himself as QB1, so that'll be cool to see him play against Florida tonight. How are them boiled peanuts? You know, I see so many signs for boiled peanuts, and it's hilarious because down here, they don't spell out the whole word peanuts. They just do P-nuts. And, you know, there's a farmer's market literally a stone's throw that way that I frequent, and they have the boiled peanuts, and they're very good. Rick Kent, I don't know if you're talking about yourself or the boiled peanuts, but yeah, I'm sure you're as fresh as can be. Let's see what else we got. Going on almost 2 hours. Look at this. You guys are awesome. Dylan, does Lazard start tomorrow? Yeah, unfortunately, I think he does. If Josh Reynolds, obviously he can't go with the hamstring as well as Nwangu. He played 97% of the snaps last week. It was 64 out of 66 potential snaps. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think Allen Lazard is closest to that stylistic replacement for him in terms of blocking, big body receiver, not really going to be featured a ton in the pass game, but you just got to hope that Lazard is functional as a blocker, maybe a little bit more than functional as a blocker, because Josh Reynolds did really good last week. And if there are 2 targets to Lazard, hopefully he can catch one, if not both of them. Just move the chains, right? There was the big 13-yard pass to Josh Reynolds where he just kind of sat in the middle of the zone between 2 second-level defenders, and Fields was able to lace one in there to him. So I just want to see Lazard do the bare minimum in the pass catching game, but be a functional blocker for sure. And then hopefully Reynolds is back next week so we don't have to do this whole thing. Rick Kent, feeding a bear is dangerous and irresponsible. Yeah, she was fearless. I don't know how else to explain it. She was goddamn fearless. She said that was one of 14 bears that come into her yard that she has fed by hand. I couldn't believe it, and I can only imagine how pissed off her neighbors are. That was the second thought. It was, 1, I hope I don't see this woman get killed while I'm working at her house, and 2, if I was anywhere near this woman's house, I would be so freaking pissed off. You can't even put your garbage cans out because you have to put a lock on them. So she was fearless. Big Green, I'm just old school, want us to punch D-lines in the mouth. Yeah, I mean, we kind of did that to Pittsburgh, right? We ran away from TJ Watt. We were very good at the point of attack, and we held up very well. I would say Buffalo without Ed Oliver is not as good as Pittsburgh's defensive line. So if we see more of the same of that from the offensive line, I will be so intrigued moving forward for the potential of this offense. Yo, Holmes, last time I was in South Carolina playing golf, the first water hazard had a big-ass gator right off the green. If I stepped back, I would have been dinner. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure they're out here, and I'm sure I'll encounter them soon. Maybe being in the upstate, I don't necessarily have them as much because I'm honestly close to I think I'm 2 hours away from Cherokee, North Carolina, which is 30 minutes from Tennessee. So I'm so inland that maybe we're not as prone to having gators in this area. Plenty of snakes and spiders and bears and all that stuff, but haven't seen one gator yet. Bill M. Yeah, this is what I've learned too. Black attack, brown lay down, white good night. Absolutely. You don't want to. Yeah, the grizzly bears, you got to watch out for those. But polar bears, I mean, if you encounter a polar bear in South Carolina, something is totally wrong. But yeah, this is the approach to Bear 101. Rick was talking about his haircut. Of course, it's got to be the fresh coif, right? Your head is definitely not hat worthy. I've heard you say that before. Rich says, hopefully he doesn't quit on plays like 23. I'm not sure who you're talking about here. If you put it in the chat, I will definitely comment, but I don't remember who you're talking about. I assume, in 2023. Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. I'll answer this one, Eli. He says, would you rather deal with gators or goose shit on the fairway? Goose shit? 100%. I would much rather deal with goose shit. Scott, great to see you too, man. I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. Eli, don't hit the geese. He hit a goose. Come on. Keep your shots up in the air. They should never be worm burning and grazing the ground that low so you can hit a goose anyway. Come on. I'm glad you felt bad about it. We've all had those shots. Let's see. Rick, yeah, I was under the impression too. I was like, I'm so nervous that she's just going to be found shredded up in her backyard. Big Green, use those tight ends. Absolutely. Ruckert had a very impressive game. Mason Taylor had I know it was only one catch for 20 yards. That was a really good corner route that he ran, and Justin was able to put it right on him in that little soft spot of the zone and utilize him. Get Stone smart up. Andrew Beck had a really good wham block on the Braylon Allen touchdown. It looked like Armand Membu kind of whiffed on his block, kind of pushed him out to the second level defender, which was great, and Armand recovered and got to the second level nicely. But Beck came in with the wham block on the end man of line of scrimmage and really helped that play along. That would be cool to see an elk, Yo Holmes. I don't want to see a gator, but I would definitely see an elk. That'd be cool. Big Green, I suck at golf. I think we all do. We just lie to ourselves at different levels of how bad we suck. But if you get two of your three elements of golf at one time, right? If you could get the driving and the approach shots, your putting is going to kill you. If you could do your approach and your putting, you're driving and not hitting the fairway. It's always how it goes. It's always two of the three. If you can ever harness all three of those elements in golf together, you're probably going to have a really good day. Oh, Rich was talking about Lazard. Yeah, that's the thing too, right? All the talk about, oh, my career is Aaron Rodgers when, he's in street clothes kicking a goddamn soccer ball around was really frustrating. And then to have him kind of backpedal those thoughts this year and say, like, I'm my own person and I don't need Aaron Rodgers to make my career. It's like, you kind of do, though. You had one good game with Zach Wilson against Kansas City, I believe, and it still wasn't even a great game. And yeah, Alan Lazard, it scares me that he's going to be out there on Sunday. I can't lie about that. Big Green, free agent safeties that are available. Is Justin Simmons still available? I'll have to look real quick. Hopefully my internet doesn't kick me out. I hardlined my internet and it seemed to have made a big difference. Let's see. I don't want that one. Just give me over the cap. Okay, so it looks like they're showing me 2026 free agency. I don't want that either. I believe Justin Simmons is like the only notable name out there, and I don't know if they would want to bring him in. Yeah, Justin Simmons, Jordan Whitehead. No, I think Jordan Whitehead signed back on. So, yeah, I would say it's Justin Simmons or bust, unfortunately. And I would say they're probably not going to do anything. Mother effing Chew. What's up, man? Happy to have you in the chat. That sounds fun, Eli. Coming out to Colorado for some golf. You guys got to keep sending in those super chats. We'll get a golf fundraiser for Colorado. We'll get DT out there on the links in the Rocky Mountains. That would be a lot of fun. Colorado is one of my favorite states. I used to vacation there. My grandfather owned a ranch, so I'd go out there annually. And then in 2018, I went out there as an adult. A lot of fun. My favorite state by far. Why is the rival merch so bad? Yeah, it's gross. The manhole covers is just silly, right? Like you couldn't have like used it as like airplane sheet metal, like to find your texture for your shoulder pads. I don't love the font of the number on it either. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't really like. I like that they use this alternate logo on the jersey. That's pretty much the only cool thing about it. But it looks like some of the hats and T-shirts might be a little bit cooler. But they have to win in those jerseys for me to even consider buying one of those rivalry hats. But that's probably all I would buy. Eli, yeah, our current jerseys, we did those right. But collabs, no. But Nike, that's Nike. It's not the Jets. It's Nike. They're making everything look like college football now. Bill M. Dispensaries on every corner. Yeah. I did a cool trip up in the Northeast in 2023, and it was kind of the same thing in like Vermont. It felt like every like 2 or 3 miles there was a dispensary, and they were cool. They honored my New Jersey medical marijuana license, and I was able to get the discount even though I was in Vermont. So it was awesome. Yeah, Rich, Colorado, beautiful, beautiful as hell. I would say the only other state that I was in that was like as beautiful was when I went to Lake Powell on a houseboat in Utah. That was so cool. Just like, 80 to 100-foot red rocks on both sides. You're traversing these narrow waterways on a houseboat. You just kind of dock up in a little cove for the night. That was fun too. So Colorado and Utah were a lot of fun. Big Will says, I feel like we could be 4-2 in the division, sweep Miami, split Buffalo and Pats. But if Buffalo rests starters last game 5-1, that would be a dream scenario. If you go 5-1 in the division, in a year where you were projected by the sports books to only win 5.5 games, that's music to my ears. Like I would take that every single day of the week. Even if those were our only 5 wins, I would still feel very confident about this team because the division is the quickest way to the playoffs. You win your division, you go to the playoffs. Yeah, Eli, that would be cool. We should do a meetup next year in Colorado. That would be awesome. I don't know how many fans are based in Colorado, but I'm sure there's got to be some Jets fans out there. As long as we're not going to a Jets-Broncos game because I can't deal with the injuries that happen at Mile High. Georgie, what's up, bro? I appreciate you. He says only Big Chump would buy that jersey. He is a collector, so. Yo, Holmes, elk hunting at DT's family ranch. I don't think I ever saw an elk there. We definitely found, the bones of whether it was deer or elk for sure. But unfortunately, that family ranch is sold. My grandfather passed in 2005, and his wife sold it off by like 2008. I think she got rid of it right before the crash, and she moved back over to New Jersey. So, unfortunately, that ranch does not exist. Although when I went there in 2018, I made sure before we did the Continental Divide, I made sure to stop by and go to the ranch itself. I didn't go anywhere near the property because it's set back a little ways, like the 1/4-mile driveway, right? It kind of winds to the house. And I didn't feel like angering anybody who might live there now. So you just never know in some of those states who's packing what. And in that area, everybody's got guns. So I wasn't going to go up to the house. Big Green. Now we know why. Now we know why you call yourself Big Green. I love it. I'm not sure. Did they announce a starter in Miami after week 1? They had a players only meeting. I know that. And if that resulted in If that results in Zach Wilson getting the start over Tua, that's absolutely disgusting. But it's going to happen sooner or later. Yeah, it had to have been Bigfoot. It had to have been Bigfoot. You're right, Rick Kemp. Okay, so people are saying it's not true. Okay. It might happen by week 4. I mean, Tua looked like Zach Wilson in that game. It was awful. Yeah, yo, Holmes, you know what I'm talking about. You see the people coming a mile away, like a quarter mile away, and you can prepare yourself. So I was definitely not going down that driveway. But he did own about 100 acres. I think 65 of it was woods. And then he had his pastures and his horse fields and stuff. Oh, here we go. Our guy Indy is back. Not sure where he ran off to, but glad to have you back, Indy. I will be meeting up with Indy and possibly Philly Noodles and a couple other great members of the community in a couple weeks over at I forget the name of the bar, Dilworth's or something like that, over near Charlotte. So I'm really excited to chop it up with Indy and the guys in a couple weeks. Yeah, yo, Holmes. I don't think Tua's lasting the full season. He had 3 really ugly turnovers in week 1 against the Colts. Oh, so I'm seeing the Will McDonald grenade celebration. That's, oh my gosh. So he threw the grenade and then he closed his ears for the bang. Like, come on, man. That's so soft. Nah, I can't get with that. Like the gun celebration and stuff too. Like when people would get up and do the finger gun and point, like it's so soft. There it is, Indy. Dilworth Tavern. I should be able to remember that. That's like half my name. Dilworth Tavern. Yeah, I'll be there in a couple weeks. I forget what game we decided on, but I'll be there. I think it's either Panthers or Bengals. I don't remember. But Indy will remind me and he'll keep me on track. Yeah, Bill, no. It was not worth $15K. So lame. Panthers. Thank you, Indy. Yes, Panthers. I knew it was one of them damn cats, whether it was the Panthers or the Bengals. But yeah, I'm excited to go and chop it up. You said my name was mentioned at the bar, so I have to make an appearance. And it's only an hour and a half out of away from where I live, so absolutely happy to come. Yeah, Addy, no fun league. 100%. I'm actually staring at Jake's quote tweet of the Will McDonald play that says no fun league. And that was what my thoughts were right away. Like they're just, come on. They're making it so hard to watch the players enjoy making a good play. Like the one play, I think it was Nolan Smith of the Eagles versus the Cowboys where he got up and he flexed and he cheered, but it was too close to the direction of the guy he tackled. So they hit him with a flag. It's so soft. Yeah, Rick Kent. McDonald got fined $14,491 for a violent gesture. He tossed a grenade and covered his ears after sacking Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely soft. Apparently, Ja Morant did the celebration. I'm unaware, but that's what they're saying on social media. Ja Morant's probably the last person that should do that, if I'm being honest. Yeah, 100% dumb, Rick. It's not fun. Yeah, everybody killing the NFL. I don't even think you can appeal it. Yeah. Addison, yeah, let's go bring these celebrations back. Randy Moss mooning the crowd, one of the wildest celebrations. Or T.O. pulling out the cell phone underneath the pad on the goalpost, or stealing the fans' popcorn. And let's bring back those celebrations. I'm pretty sure there was a college celebration where an offensive lineman took a beer. Maybe it was NFL too, but the offensive lineman took a beer from a fan and just like poured it all over him. Like we got to get back to those days. This happened a couple times. I know Elijah Moore did it at Ole Miss. I don't remember who did it in the NFL, but I remember Elijah Moore doing this. It wasn't Chris Ivory wiping his ass. It was Isaiah Crowell, and then he got the sponsorship from Dude Wipes. T.O. signing the ball. Yeah, that was a great one. Oh, the cell phone was Joe Horn from the Saints, wasn't it? Yeah. You're right, Bill. OBJ, I'm sure he's had some crazy celebrations. I love when the Red Army kettle is in Dallas and they always jump in the kettle. SPS says, who will Sauce travel with on Sunday? I don't think they'll travel him. I think he honestly they're going to do more sides. Even if they do man coverage, they're going to be more on their sides. I don't see it. Like Drew even said, he's like, I hope they play more zone against the Bills. So I don't necessarily think Keon Coleman is, worthy of getting that shadow tag from Sauce. So I think they would just play sides. And the matchup I'm really looking to watch is Michael Carter II versus Khalil Shakir. If they want to lock that guy, if that's the matchup, they want to go man to man no matter what. Everybody else is playing zone and Michael Carter's playing man on his assignment. I don't know if that's even a thing, but I would rather see that than Sauce one-on-one with Coleman. Yeah, Rick Ken, it was Elijah Moore. I think it was a bowl game too, and he learned from it, but writing is on the wall with some of these wide receivers that Joe Douglas drafted. Yeah, Rich, this is something I heard talked about a couple times on podcasts this week. The plane celebration, and I believe it was Adam is Too Cool on Jake's show brought up the home of the Jets in the locker room after the win. That used to literally give me goosebumps as a young teenage kid watching these teams. So that would be two things I definitely want to keep surrounding the Jets. And they got away from the home of the Jets. I'm not sure if that was like a Rex thing or not, but it's really unfortunate that they don't do that after wins. Oh yeah, Bill, when T.O. ran to the center star as a 49er. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, the bucket's red, yo, Holmes. Golly. I don't know. Who cares? Donate to whatever it is, Red Army, Salvation Army, whatever it's called. Donate. Do whatever you got to do. But the kettle celebrations are always cool. Yeah, Indy, can't wait. I can't wait for Sunday. I can't wait for Tampa. I mean, I'm trying not to look ahead of the schedule because it's one game at a time, but I'm looking forward to a lot of this season. I feel like there's so much encouragement out of this one game, even in a loss. So I'm really excited. With that, we are caught up. I am well over 2 hours. I greatly appreciate every single person who has tuned in throughout the duration of this one. Thank you again to Drew, all-22 Drew. You can follow him at Coach Drew Was. I will put it one more time in the chat below. Everybody on the way out, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Consider getting to the A1 since day one tier, only $4.99 a month, and you will get tons of exclusive content, college football breakdowns of quarterbacks, which are on a little bit of a pause while Justin Fields is balling out. And you get the 58-minute week one offensive film breakdown. I go through about 20-plus plays of the 66 that they ran on Sunday against the Steelers. So really excited to continue pumping out the exclusive content for you. So at $5 a month, I hope you guys all consider getting there. And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I think we're 68 away. The last time I checked, maybe 69. So really appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's go, Jets. Can't believe the Bills, Jets week 2, first place on the line. Obviously, it would have been the case no matter what. But the fact that we actually have a chance to beat Buffalo and take first place. We know what happened last year. We lost 23-20 after they fired Rob Saleh. I feel like we're going to play them close again, and I think it's going to come down to who has the ball last. So really excited, really looking forward to it. I'll be back with some kind of recap. I can't promise it'll be live because I'm going live with Nick Shine at 12:30, 12:45 on his channel. Please tune in. But I will have some kind of recap out for you as soon as the game is over. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm DTereman, and let's go Jets.